12th of January 2026. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. From where are you watching us? This is KBC Channel 1 and you're just in time to get to know what is happening around the country and beyond. Welcome once again to the program. It has been a packed weekend, including the fact that the KCSE results were released on Friday, and schools like prominent schools like Moi High School, Kabarak, Alliance High School, Maranda, Maseno, all recorded quite a good performance, and that is something that was announced on Friday. And today being the 12th, actually, the grade 10 students are supposed to report to senior school starting today. But before we even go through what we'll be tackling later on in the program, I am not alone in studio. Good morning, Vivian.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm also doing good this morning.
Yes.
Yes, and Marie is also here with us. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning, Vivian. Good morning, Mike.
I'm well. Now, before we get into what I will be tackling today on the show, there's something that has been trending over the weekend. It's been a packed weekend, as Mike has mentioned. Yes, there's the KCSE results, there's politics as well, and then there is the streamer that is iShowSpeed, who stopped the city yesterday. And you know, most people were wondering, you know, for those who don't know him, are wondering, who is this young boy who has come to the country and everything seems to be at a standstill, you know? And he is a streamer, and we are really in that new generation whereby, you know, people from social media are really a big deal, you know, celebrities on there are really a big deal. But one thing I want to pick from his tour in Nairobi, and he's doing an African tour. He's gone to around 9 countries so far. He's been to Mozambique, he's been to South Africa, Gabon, you name them. He's been to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and now he made a stop at to Kenya yesterday. And it's just, I feel it's a good way of us showcasing what Kenya has to offer. You know, it's a good way, and we've been seeing, because his views come from across the not just the continent, but all over the world. And most of the people who are outside the continent are speaking of how they are allowed to see the continent as it is, because most times it is portrayed as, you know, just the slums, poor, you know, people who are poor, children who are hungry. So he's showcasing the other side of Africa that most times Western media does not get to showcase. So I feel it's a good thing, and it's something that truly should be highlighted. And I've felt that Magical Kenya has truly taken that opportunity to just showcase Kenya through the lens of iShowSpeed. So that's one thing that has been trending, and I feel it's a good thing. Now, that aside, I want to get on to what we will be talking about this morning, and we will be looking at resolutions, but this time round we are looking at it from the financial perspective. How are you planning yourself financially? How are you working towards ensuring that you're working with your budget so that you are able to achieve your financial goals for the year 2025? That will be our conversation, and I will be joined by one John Kamau, who is the head of business development, Avocap Asset Managers, and then we'll have Priyanka Shah, who's the co-founder and chief operations officer of the same. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. Indeed. To know how you're planning yourself money-wise this year. Yeah. You
know that you have alluded to matters to do with politics. Yesterday, actually, Eliud Owalo expressed his intention to run for the presidency in 2027. We are going to see a lot of alignments and realignment in the coming days of this year. And also, the president is on a 3-day tour in the county of Nyeri, and yesterday, actually, on the things he said, he will fulfill pledges that he made to Mount Kenya during his 2022 campaign period, and he is confident that he will floor the opposition in the upcoming general election that will be happening next year. When it comes to matters building, and this is something that we addressed last week, yet another building did collapse in Karen, It was under constructions, and unfortunately 2 lives were lost and several others were injured. And as I had alluded earlier, today is the day when grade 10 students are reporting. But then again, there's a conversation that has been going on, and it was elicited, it's culminated from comments made by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua regarding the grade 10 placement. But then again, beyond all that political noise, what is really being highlighted here, besides politics, besides emotions, besides everything, the politics that play around that, is it bringing matters to do with accountability and leadership, whether those people who are charged with political or leadership positions are willing to take up responsibility of delivering development to deserving Kenyans? That is the basis of our conversation today. And David Alulu, who is an economist and political analyst, Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst, Dr. Billy J. Omero Sibor will be joining me together with His Excellency Francis Mwangangi, who is the Deputy Governor, Machakos County, just to talk about this issue, that beyond politics, what lies besides or beneath that conversation when it comes to service delivery to Kenyans. Before I hand you over to Marie, let me give you a quote to start your day. Every accomplishment starts with the decision to try. Every accomplishment starts with the decision to try. That is a quote by John F. Kennedy, who was an American president. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning, Mike, and good morning to all of you joining us from across the country. And yeah, we'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in the news, including what Mike has already mentioned, and that the president is on a tour of the Nyeri County. My colleague, that is Giverson Maina, has been on that beat and is traveling with the president to just give us details of what will be happening there. And yes, Eliud Owalo has, announced his intention to run for presidency. All that will be coming up in the news this morning. But I just want to go back to what Vivian, you touched on, and that is ISHO speed. Probably people of my age wouldn't expect me to know what is happening in as far as ISHO speed is concerned, because, like you said, it's the young generation.
Yeah.
It's the Gen Zs and all that. But he caught my attention some weeks back, and I've been following, and you can't believe it. Yesterday, I actually watched most of his
the stream,
his events, or at least his tour of Nairobi.
Yeah.
I like him for his energy. He's authentic.
Yes.
He just does what he wants to do, and the fact that it is not so, can I say, choreographed?
Yes.
He goes where
Exactly.
he wants. Yes, there's an itinerary,
Yes.
Yeah.
but he's been taken to more or less, like, say, every place that you'd expect a normal Kenyan to be, Kenyatta Market. I saw him in Mukuru.
Yes.
I think those were they affordable houses.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
So I will not say much about Mukuru, because I think people were expecting him to go to the other side of Mukuru. But that said and done, it's all fine. But what actually caught my attention is the fact that on social media, I would see Americans talking about, like, we were lied to.
Yeah.
I'm like, in this day and age, do people still think people are still living in the jungle?
Imagine that's still, for most people, that is still the case, because that's the picture of Africa that has been portrayed to them for the longest time. So them seeing this other side that ISHO Speed is now showcasing, they are really surprised and they feel cheated. I know you may ask, I mean, with us having the internet,
media,
you still don't know, but
internet and all that.
You look at most of the videos on TikTok of people talking about Africa. Most of the people from the Western world, I think, are coming of age, so to speak, given the kind of information they are getting access to regarding Africa. You see them comparing cities within Africa, and some of them ask questions. Africa has this?
yeah.
I think the fact that ISHO Speed came and what he's doing is never choreographed. It's changing the narrative and the perception that other people of the world may have regarding Africa.
Well, that's nice. So you can catch a glimpse of him. I'm sure he'll be up and about today. If you
Yeah.
just go to YouTube or wherever social media that you can access, you will be able to watch what he will be doing. So thank you once again for making the time for us this morning. My name is Marie Ambo. Let's look at the news where President William Ruto has warned his political detractors that his support in Mount Kenya is still intact. The president, who is on a development tour of Nyeri County, said his political rivals have no substantial agenda to present to the people. Less than 2 years to the general election. Give us on Maina reports.
After several months away, President William Ruto on Sunday returned to Nyeri County, this time round for a charm offensive. The President and Deputy President Kithure Kindiki attended at Sunday service at ACK St. Paul's Church, Kariki in Othaya constituency. When he took to the podium, the President said his administration had worked to raise earnings on tea, coffee and milk for the farmers in the region and the country at large.
Pia tumekubaliana na huyu waziri ya kwamba kwa sababu Kenya ni watu wa bidii, tuko na kahawa, tuko na chai, tuko na avocado, tuko na mazao mengine ambayo tunauza nje ya Kenya. Ni vizuri tutengeneze soko. Waziri na mwenzake Liki Nyanjui sasa wanamalizia mkataba ya kufungua soko kubwa ya China.
Accompanying the President, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe urged the Mount Kenya region to re-elect President Ruto in 2027 to ensure continuity of the development projects.
Hapa, Your Excellency, we have a small problem as I call it. Hapa mtu anashaguliwa one term. Nimewasihi watu wetu tuanze kuangalia hata viongozi wale tuko nao, hata MCAs, sio tu MPs, even MCAs. Tunaangalia wale ambao wanafanyia watu kazi, tunawarudisha kazi. We will develop Kenya because we will vote for a president and we will vote again for the same president and vote again.
The Kenya Kwanza allies are also challenging the Nyeri governor to declare his stance on the 2027 elections.
Nataka tuobee gavana wetu, kwa sababu gavana wewe ndio unatuongoza. Huwezi kuwa pande hii na pande hii unakuwa watermelon. Wacha tukue na msimamo ndio Nyeri yetu iendelee.
Mimi nilimpigia kura akawa rais, na nyinyi mimi sijasikia rais mwingine. Kwa hivyo mimi bado niko na rais. Unaelewa? Na kama governor ni lazima nije nipokee rais, tuongee mambo ya serikali na tuko kazi. Siasa ikifika, mimi watu wa Nyeri wakiona sijafikisha miaka ya kwenda nyumbani wataniambia.
The head of state would later address Othaya residents during a stopover where he said his ties with the mountain are intact.
Sasa sikizeni, unajua kuna watu wengine wanaota ndoto ya mchana. Ati wanafikiria ati watalete makelele, walete fitina, wafanye vitimbi, ati mimi nikosani na watu wa Nyeri. Hiyo ni ndoto ya mchana. Hiyo haiwezekani. Urafiki mimi nimejenga na watu wa Nyeri ni urafiki ambayo tumejenga kutoka mbali.
Siasa sio kelele, siasa sio matusi, siasa sio kiburi, siasa na uongozi ni kazi.
President Ruto said the opposition figures have no agenda but empty political rhetoric.
Si mnajua Rais Mwai Kibaki alinifanya waziri wa kilimo? Ama namna gani? Si ndio? Na hiyo kazi ya kilimo nilifanya ama sikufanya? Si nilifanya? Ama namna gani? Sasa hawa watu nitamalizana na wao asubuhi na mapema. These ones.
The president is in Nyeri County for a 3-day walking tour.
President William Ruto has slammed his critics, especially from the Mount Kenya region, saying no one will come between him and the people of this region ahead of the 2027 general elections. Giverson Minor in Othaya, Nyeri County.
Thank you, Giverson Maina, for that report. Of course, Giverson Maina is still in Nyeri. He'll be bringing us up to speed with what will be happening there today. Let's move on, where Jubilee Party Deputy Leader Fred Matiang'i has called upon the government to utilize educationists and religious leaders to solve the confusion in the education sector experienced during the placement of students joining senior schools. Meanwhile, DCP Party Leader Rigathi Gachagua is accusing the Kenya Kwanza administration of continuously using police to harass and intimidate him.
Speaking during the commissioning service for more than 130 PCMF members in PCEA Muguga Church, the Jubilee Party Brigade implored the Ministry of Education to reach out to educationists in solving the confusion surrounding the placement of students joining senior schools.
Sisi sasa muite hawa wote wasee wa kanisa, viongozi, professional leaders kwa room. Wengine wawaeleze the pain and the challenges that the parents are facing. Can we solve this chaos that you have created in the education sector?
Timu ambayo mnaona ya Fred Matiang'i haina vita. Sisi tukiona vita tutaondokea.
Separately, DCP Party Leader Rigathi Gachagua, while attending a church service at AIPCA Kiamoria in Gatondo South constituency, decried continued misuse of police officers to intimidate members of the opposition.
Na mimi nataka nikuulize William Ruto, wewe siku mlikosana na Uhuru Kenyatta for 5 years, alikubalia wewe kutembea hapa mlimani, si ndio? Alimzuia. Mbona wewe unatuzuia kutembea nyumbani kwetu?
Gachagua also defended former President Uhuru Kenyatta from accusations by a section of ODM leaders and demanded that the fourth president must be respected.
Na mimi niambie hiyo watu ya ODM, msitumiwe na Ruto kutukana Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta alijaribu kusaidia nyinyi, kusaidia baba apate uongozi. Alimsaidia hapa mlimani na 1.3 million votes. Nyinyi wenyewe mkakosa kwenda kupiga kura, mkaanguka.
Elsewhere in Tharaka Nithi County, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Roko, while attending a church service at PCEA Chogoria Town Church, urged residents of Mount Kenya East Region to remain united behind President William Ruto for sustainable development.
Mimi nawaomba, kama kuna mahali ambao we cannot afford to define our forts, ni mahali naitwa Meru County, Isiolo County, Tharaka Nithi County, Embu County, and Kirinyaga County.
And a political supremacy battle is looming in Kirinyaga County between County Governor Anne Waiguru and dear MP George Kariuki over who should lead the UDA party in Kirinyaga.
Watu wengine, wakati tulikuwa tunafanyia Dr. William Samoei Ruto campaign ya 2022, wao walikuwa busy wakituambia vile hatuwezi, Wakikuyu hawezi kondishwa ama wanunuliwe.
Kama ni mwanamme ajitokeze, avae t-shirt yetu ya UDA, asimame kiti ya governor, achaguliwe Kirinyaga.
The UDA grassroots elections formed a basis for the local contest between the two leaders, with Governor Waiguru and Kirinyaga Central MP Gashoki Gitare on one side and dear MP George Kariuki, Moya MP Mary Mainge and Gishogo MP Geshimu Gethenji on the other. And in Meru County, Igembe North MP Julius Taitumu has called for a repeat of UDA grassroots elections in some areas of Meru County due to challenges faced during the voting process.
Ni lazima maeneo ambayo yatakuwa na matatizo yarudiwe, kwa sababu naona itakubalika kuwa na watu ambao hawajulikani wametoka wapi.
The Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of delivery and government efficiency, Eliud Owalo, has declared his intention to run for the presidency in 2027. Owalo said he has enough experience as a political strategist to almost all presidential candidates in the past, a situation that puts him in the right stead to lead the nation. He spoke as he joined Nomia congregants in Oboch, Siaya County, to commemorate 106 years of the existence of the church. Simon Achola has the report.
Eliud Owalo is the latest politician to show interest in gunning for the country's top seat in 2027.
Limited to Nomia Church, which is my church of birth, a church which was started by my grandfather, I've today made a deliberate and conscious decision that cometh the year 2027, I'll be submitting myself as a candidate for purposes of the presidential race in the elections for purposes of the presidency of the Republic of Kenya.
Owalo, currently serving as the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of delivery and government efficiency in the Executive Office of the President, said it was time he put his immense experience as a think tank behind many presidential campaigns into his own bid.
I've worked for each and every politician worth his salt in this country, and I've done my bit. But come 2027, I want to change the paradigm. I will not continue working for political individuals, but I want to work for the Kenyan people, the Kenyan masses.
The 58-year-old former ICT Cabinet Secretary will launch his political party in the coming weeks as he seeks to become the 6th president of the country. He, however, wants Nyanza region to be more accommodative to more political parties, as it will enhance election of leaders based on their track records.
We cannot be in a multi-party era. Then we continue subjecting the people of Nyanza to a political monolithic, where one political party has got monopoly power and is lording it over everyone else.
His bid is likely to be centered on development and actualizing of 10 major projects in Nyanza region. The projects include Koru Soin Dam, extension of the SGR from Naivasha to Malaba, and dualling of Rironi-Londiani Highway to Busia via Eldoret and Kisumu.
The next project I've talked about is the revival of the sugar industry so that our sugar factories can again attain optimal capacity utilization levels, with the attendant benefits accruing to sugarcane farmers to sort out some of the myriad challenges the people are facing. And in the same regard again, the revitalization of the rice sector and also the cotton industry. Cotton needs to be a major cash crop in this region.
Owalo spoke as he joined Nomia congregants in celebrations of 106 years of existence of the church. The church has a membership of over 2 million faithfuls.
More than 1 million learners will begin their senior school journey on Monday amid calls on the government to grant the request of hundreds of thousands of students seeking the review of their placements. The Elimu Bora Working Group says the decision to deny the request is a false start to the next phase of the competency-based education.
Approximately 1.13 million curriculum-based education pioneer learners will be reporting to senior school starting tomorrow, Monday 12th. But some face a risk of missing their slots due to a systematic failure on the online placement system after being placed on the wrong pathways or distant day schools.
We do not seem to have prepared adequately for this transition, and there's a lot of confusion that is coming out as a result.
355,457 students applying for review of their placements by December 2025. Sadly, 143,821 students had their appeals rejected for various reasons, including overcrowding in some of the so-called elite schools, public schools.
Addressing the media on Sunday, the Elimu Bora Working Group disclosed that the placement breakdown is not the only challenge, as some learners have their KGC academic transcripts withheld by their former schools over outstanding arrears.
Some schools, senior schools, have requested that they go with the stamped transcripts, and we see a number of these students being forced to either clear outstanding arrears in terms of illegal fees and all manner of requirements from their former schools.
There are some who even lost books which somehow they got misplaced, and as we speak they are not able to be cleared.
Huu mfumo ulipokuwa hauwezi kufanya kazi, wizara iliagiza walimu wazazi waweze kwenda kutafuta shule katika the respective schools, which has exposed parents to a lot of corruption.
The lobby group alleged that the system was rushed, with some senior schools lacking essential infrastructure.
A comprehensive audit of its automated placement process and system to guarantee transparency and incorporate greater flexibility for learners' choice and welfare. 5, prioritize and publicly track the rapid construction and equipping of STEM labs, sport facilities, workshops, and other essential infrastructure for schools in rural areas and those that fall under Cluster 3 and 4.
They have urged the government to address the Grade 10 placement challenges and ensure no student is left behind.
It's all systems go. This is one of the classrooms that is expected to host the first cohort of the Grade 10 learners. Yet 200s of learners are still uncertain if their dream to join their dream senior school will come to a reality. My name is Kasichana Masha.
Thank you, Kasichana Masha. As celebrations of the 2025 KCSE results continue across the country, one man in Homa Bay County has drawn attention for proving that it's never too late to chase an academic dream. At 50 years old, George Ochieng Okumu from Radiro Village in Homa Bay Town Sub-County is all smiles after scoring a D+ in the KCSE examinations more than 3 decades after he last sat for a national exam. Okumu did his KCP back in 1992. Life, however, took a different turn, and for years, he says, the lack of a Form 4 certificate closed many doors despite his skills and willingness to work. Let's listen in to this inspiring story.
That is after many, many years, because I sat for my KCP in 1992.
The joy in the Okumu household was doubled this year. George sat the KCSE alongside his second-born son, Brennan Arsen Ochieng, a candidate at Orero Boys High School, who posted an impressive mean grade of B-. My
son got B-. He got B-, and we are still waiting to see what he's going to do. But he was telling us that he wanted to do a law.
As for me, I'm not ashamed because he can now continue with these studies and open doors for many opportunities that he wanted to do.
For father and son, revision time became a shared experience.
We were just revising with him because we were the ones who were going to school and we knew most of the things. So we were just coordinating with him and my brother. And if there is something that we never know, we can just go to the internet, because nowadays you can access anything through internet and you get the good answer that you needed.
Okumu says his son's discipline and focus inspired him to return to school even as he balanced family responsibilities and daily hassles.
Since I left class 8, my life did not end from there. I decided to pursue life in various ways. I even got jobs with that class 8, but I could not go far because everybody who wanted even to employ you, what they could ask is a Form 4 certificate. So I've lost so many opportunities just because of this certificate called KNE Form 4 certificate.
Now, with the KCSE certificate finally in hand, he's already thinking about the future.
Today, it's like heaven has been opened for me, and I can say that I'm very happy, and I must pursue things that I wanted to pursue when I was still doing primary. I want to do something related to security. I might even decide to do criminology diploma. I will start it from there, or where it will be possible for me to start it.
And as the 844 education system approaches its final years, Okumu is urging Kenyans, young and old, who dropped out of school to seize the moment and register for examinations while the opportunity still exists. Let's look at sports, where Kenya's tennis star Angela Okutoi continued with her impressive rise on the international stage by clinching the ITF World Tennis W35 Round 2 singles title with an impressive 2 straight sets victory over Italy's Martina Colmena.
Against all odds, Angela Okutoi once again proved her class, edging out Italy's Martina Colmena in a thrilling W35 singles final. The match was a repeat of last week's round 1 singles final, but Ogutoi showed no signs of nerves as she took near control. Displaying confidence and sharp shot making, the Kenyan dominated the opening set, claiming it 6-3. Kolmega returned with renewed energy in the second set, pushing Ogutoi into a tightly contested battle. The Italian matched her shot for shot, forcing a tense tie break. But Ogutoi held a nerve, narrowly taking the second set 7-6 to seal the match and secure the overall title.
My ranking is gonna shoot, and that's been my goal ever since, to break top 400. So hopefully after this event, my ranking is gonna crack top 400 or even more. So yeah, I can't wait. Well, the attributes that I've taken is to always believe in myself and know that you're capable of doing anything, and just trusting in my game and just being mentally strong.
Angela is a very good player here, so it's very difficult to beat her here. I tried my best, and I'm anyway happy about my match.
The victory marks another major milestone for the rising Kenyan star as she continues to build momentum on the international circuit. Following the win, Ogutoi now shifts her focus to other international competitions as she looks to improve her world ranking and strengthen her chances of qualifying for the Olympic Games.
Well, that's where we bring the news this morning to a close. Thank you as always for your time and your company. And remember, the AFCON showpiece still continues in Morocco. That is the hosts, Nigeria, Egypt and Senegal, have made it to the semi-finals, which will be televised, or at least for those who can watch it. It's going to be on Wednesday. So thank you so much for your time. Once again, my name is Marie Yambo, and we'll be bringing you up to speed with Matters News later on in the day. Good Morning Kenya continues with my colleague, Mike Migwe.
Umepanga kuniangamiza kabisa? Hiyo familia unachukia ni familia yangu. Nimekuja na kakitu tusherekee.
Doc amesema ukimaliza uende usign contract yako.
Hiyo kitu ambacho ulikuwa umechimba potoa. Usinipime wazimu wangu.
Kila kitu anatutakia kitamrudia.
Really, I have so many patients. Just go straight to the point. What did I tell you?
Sorry, Doc.
Wedi.
Wewe sema kitu imekuleta hapa.
Kitu iko sawa. Karibu sana, karibu kiete kiserikali, unajua haishindi na jambo lolote.
Mamba alionekana usiku wa kuamkia leo.
Nitagundu wakita.
Guys, woo! It is our lagging day.
Naiba freeze kuna.
Yani bahati.
Bahati tena. Mimi naingia chooni, malize alafu nitoke. Hapa lazima ukanje. Sitalipa. Enda.
Unaweza nisaidie at least na ka loan pass.
I don't work with loans.
Toka uende.
We don't have to do this.
Marada mkae. Mbona unalipisha na hawa ni customer wetu wamekuja pale kula na lazima waende haja?
Bishaje Ramos. Ushalipisha choo hapa kweli? Hapana. Sasa unasikia mamoka.
Nyinyi wafanyikazi mutanitia pressure.
Hizi kofia za Harpin zinasaidia sana.
Ndio, na unajua hawa madaktari wa China wanazingatia sana kazi zao.
Let's try taking him off, but observe him for 2 hours, and if everything's fine, we can extubate.
Daktari, asante daktari.
You're welcome.
Well, within the first hour of Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back to the program. My name is Mike Migu. This is Eye on Politics. A lot has happened over the weekend, including the President Ruto's visit to the mountain that has been carried out in our news, and also matters to do with the building that collapsed in Karen, killing 2 people and injuring several others. And today is when grade 10 students are going back to school. Now, over the past 1 week or so, there has been a debate generated by the comments raised by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua regarding the placement, fair placement of grade 10 students who are actually supposed to report today to their senior school. That has generated a lot of debate and also has attracted responses even from the president. That is going to form our basis of our conversation today, because we're talking about politics of accountability, politics, leadership and accountability. That is what we are going to talk about today. But before we go into that conversation, in studio I'm joined by my guests. One of them is Dr. Billy J. Omeno Sibur, who is a political analyst. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Migwi.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
January nakupeleka aje?
Iko poa.
Yes, kabisa. Yes. All right, and also David Alulu, who is an economist and political analyst. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mike.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
You're looking with an eye of suspicion. Is everything okay?
Unajua, over the holidays, I waited for a call. Kuja tukule mbuzi.
Actually, I've been looking forward to that. So, since you have brought it up,
yes,
we need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to have a very serious conversation. You might attend.
We shall have that once we have this conversation. And we are also expecting to have Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst, and His Excellency Francis Mwangangi, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. But before we get to that, let me take you through what is making headlines in our local dailies, and I will start with what is being reported on the front page of the Star newspaper. Poor diets take 400 billion shillings toll on Kenya's economy. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. Malnutrition reduces physical strength and mental capacity. That is a story you will read in detail on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. You cannot dislodge me in Mount Kenya, Ruto tells Gachagua. That is a comment that he made yesterday in Nyeri, because he is on a 3 days tour of Nyeri County. Read that story on page 9 of the Star newspaper. Law and medicine, the preferred courses for KCSE top performers. That story is told on page 2 of the Star newspaper. Byron Osiro, innovations must be supported by solid infrastructure. Read more on that story on page 6 of the Star newspaper. Agnes Jabet wins World Cross Country title in Florida. Read, this is what that photo is displayed here on the front page of the Star newspaper. Let's move over to the Daily Nation. Why we won't be joining grade 10. As thousands of students report to their new schools today, a different reality confronts many of their peers across the country. Despite excelling in the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, they now face a painful truth. Their academic success may not lead to progression to senior school because their families cannot afford school fees. That story is told on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. ODM convenes a meeting amid Oburu ouster plot. The political infighting within the ODM has escalated, with the party set for a critical crisis meeting amid an alleged plot to oust Siaya Senator Oburu Oginga as the party leader. The ongoing tough wars have forced the party's top organ to retreat to the coast today for a meeting that could either calm the simmering tension or intensify them ahead of the 2027 elections. That story is told on page 6 of the Daily Nation. Kenya keeps the overall title, but rivals closing gap. Kenya topped the medal standing for the third consecutive time at the World Athletics Cross Country Championships in Florida, US, but there was a marked decline. That story is told in detail on page 38 of the Daily Nation. Ruto to Mount Kenya voters: I will not abandon you. President William Ruto has assured residents of the politically restive Mount Kenya region that he would not abandon them as he seeks re-election in 2027, recalling their decisive role in his 2022 general election victory. Dr. Ruto said his relationship with Mount Kenya is built on firm foundation anchored in a shared transformation agenda. That story is told on page 10 of the Daily Nation. Let's move over to the Standard and see what is being reported on the front page. Junet's rough ride. This is what is captured here. As the country gradually gets used to referring to the country's most vibrant politician in past tense, the after effects of Raila Odinga's demise in October last year are turning into a nightmare for some who appear to have a hang onto his coattails to make a political career through ODM. National Assembly Minority Leader Junet Mohammed continues to be hit by a myriad of accusations, from never winning any nominations in Migori to using his closeness with Baba to cause problems for others as some revive old quarrels. That story is told on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Basically, that is what has been captured in our local dailies. And yeah, and I want us to get into a conversation. And His Excellency Francis Mwangangi has joined us. Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.
How are you doing?
Good.
January inakupeleka aje?
It's good.
Yes, welcome to Good Morning Kenya, and I'll also be introducing Innocent Musumbi in just a little while. You know, there's a conversation that emanated from the comments, as I had alluded to, the comments that were made by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua regarding placement of grade 10 students in senior school. And that has brought a lot of debate regarding those comments. But then again, beyond the politics, beyond the emotions, are the issues raised real when it comes to leadership, accountability, and whether those in power are willing to take responsibility for a system that is going on, and the things that Kenyans are facing? Are they really going to take up responsibility and deliver the development that is needed in those areas? Now, I will start this with you, Dr. Sibur. When you look at those remarks, do they force a conversation that calls for thinking about accountability and taking responsibility in leadership?
Okay, thank you, Mike, for inviting me here. First of all, I will start by saying hi to great people of Moroni, and I believe they are well wherever they are. Back to the conversation today. On my opinion, I don't think it's a big issue to look at now, because we are not doing KCSE for the first time. Mm-hmm. And schools have been existing. Mm-hmm. And we have categories of schools everywhere. We have the national schools all the way to Arambe schools. Mm-hmm. Then if the student has been placed in a national school, mm-hmm. I believe there are facilities in those places. Mm-hmm. And a good student will always perform mm-hmm. Based on the facilities that are around there. Mm-hmm. So that conversation now, I don't think it is it has a lot of weight because this is not the first time we are placing them there. I believe that there are some schools that are disadvantaged, yes. For example, the ASAL areas. But it doesn't warrant a discussion much because this is a process that has been going on all along. Yes.
But then again, you look at the remarks saying that students from areas within which the national schools are hosted should be given priorities as opposed to, should also not miss slots within those schools as opposed to being sent to schools that are far away because maybe their parents have contributed to the growth of that school. What do you make of that?
If there are some mishaps, then those mishaps should be corrected. For example, if you deserve a national school and you didn't get a place there, then that is an issue that should be addressed amicably. But zoning or saying that there's some areas that are having, for example, the students from, maybe pupils from Mount Kenya should be maintained there. I don't think that one is good because we are Kenyans, and we also need to explore all parts of the country. So, and as I said earlier, this is not the first time we are doing KCSE.
Yes.
So it is a process that has been going on, and it has never brought any debate. But if there is some mishaps or some error to be corrected, that one, it should be done. And for example, right now, there is a window whereby students or pupils are allowed to change based on their choices. So that one can be easily corrected in the best way possible. Yes.
Yeah, we're also joined by Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much, Migri.
Yes.
And Happy New Year to our viewers.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be here, to be able to discuss topical issues affecting our people.
Yes.
Thank you.
And in that regard, actually, let me throw this to you. Are we bringing unnecessary politics to education?
Yeah, well, my opinion on this matter is that I think we Kenyans, we love politics a lot. We like politicizing everything. And to me, getting to the context of this matter is that we need to look at these remarks exactly far from politics. What exactly was the former deputy president really talking about? And you'll realize there is the issue of equity in the country, and also is there any form of laxity in the part of some of our leaders, and are we developing this country to have a situation whereby the whole country is moving together, is moving at the same level? Because when we look at the national schools and where the grade 10 children, how they are being placed, we will realize that there are some regions in this country where they have well-developed infrastructure in terms of schools compared to others. And there is a lot of sense when a leader talks about, because you know, leadership and politics is all about ensuring your people are getting the limited resources that are there. And when a leader raises an issue whereby parents from a certain region who possibly have contributed to ensure that institutions in their area are of good quality, their children are being sent to far away schools. Because you see, there's an issue of cost here. And you are leaving a good school in your village to go like 500 kilometers or 200 kilometers away to get another school, which is okay because these are national schools, and Kenya we are one country. But again, you ask yourself, so why is a student in Kikuyu village who is qualified to join Alliance Boys High School being why is he going to another school in maybe, you know, in northern Kenya or western Kenya, maybe a national school, but doesn't have the same facilities that Alliance in the Village has. So we need to have a discussion. How can we have a situation whereby all our schools in the country have the same level of infrastructure and equipment, all those things, so that even if I am from Kikuyu Village, a neighbor to Alliance Boys High School, I am comfortable going to Garissa Boys High School. So that is the kind of situation we should be discussing, other than politicizing the whole issue, bringing about some tribal epithets. I don't think it is important. Let us understand, why do we have some schools in a particular area not well developed as others? For example, let's contextualize in the northeastern Kenya. Yes. Why are the schools not very well developed, like the schools in Nairobi or elsewhere? While we have had devolution for the last 13 years, we have had NG-CDF for the last many years, and we have had affirmative action to these areas for the last many years. Why are we not having schools getting to, if not the same level, because Alliance Boys is an old school, why are we not getting a situation whereby these schools are at least at a level whereby we can, because some of these schools doesn't have basic infrastructure, laboratories, they don't have them. So you find there is a lot of sense in the remarks that were given, because a person in Nairobi being admitted in a school in northeastern where the facilities leaves a lot to be desired is, of course, quite disadvantaged.
Bwana DG, what do you make of, first of all, of the remarks, and do they warrant a serious conversation regarding development in the country?
Sometimes back, when I served in National Assembly, the period I was there, I think through an investigative arm of the government, actually I remember it was an headline that a section of us, the sitting members of parliament, and I'm saying this with ultimate faith and respect to institutions, it flashed an headline. Actually, it was almost in the three leading media, the print media, that some of us had earned millions in fake claims. It brought a lot of discussions. When it was the government moved in to prove some of these things, obviously, because we do not want to be painted in the wrong way, at the end, the investigation came, and it was like some members within a certain radius are never paid in this kilometer mileage. They are never paid, while others were pocketing millions of shillings. And yet they were not living in Nairobi. They were just here. But they were being paid for claims that they come from far-flung areas. We also followed that up. That report also unearthed something else, that even the government audits are not done properly in some areas simply because of insecurity, perceived insecurity. Now, why am I bringing this story and your question and the issue we are discussing this morning of the second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya sentiments? It's because as much as we used to say some areas are well developed, others are not, the country, in our own wisdom and through the Constitution, brought Equalization Fund. Still, the country, in a way to bring affirmative, brought GAF. The country also saw it fit to bring devolution, although it is something that is dying under this administration. And with all this, we expect, and actually something else. The third president's administration tried to bring, to ensure there are 2 national schools in each county. So now, the question of the sentiments made by this particular leader, I think they are valid. They call upon more transparency and accountability. And why am I saying this? Because of the following. One, we are not talking about students who did Form 4. We are talking about pupils who did their standard 8 and are supposed to go to junior secondary schools. We know the economic situation in this country. Maybe some of us who are busy looting and eating don't understand the suffering of Kenyans. When you see a very young person, a girl or a boy, who is also maybe was supported through education system by even Arambes, being sent far away, what happens to such a kid? You are expecting the community again to go fundraise, take that student to that far area, go rent a room somewhere, look at the age of this student. What are we doing as a country? Those are some of the things we need to address, not to look at the politics in the sentiments. Because I think those who chased Rigathi Gachagua away are trying to look at every opportunity to prove why they chased him away. And then I think in the course of doing that, please let's not destroy the future of this country by destroying millions of the young generation. So I agree, it calls us to be more accountable. It calls us to also want to understand these billions, whether, and let's not discuss devolution in education, because education is not devolved to, yes. But in NGCDF, where I also served, in also GAV and other government, and also equalization, how are we using some of these money, billions, in some areas? Because we want, if it is national schools, the word national school, what entails a national school? Does what Alliance, for example, has, is it the same as what Gabaltura has? Is it what the Star of the Sea in Mombasa has? We want an equity level play so that anybody going to national school within Nairobi or within central Kenya is the same as anybody else who goes anywhere. And by the way, there is also something else. Yesterday I saw a clip of news in a school in a Kato Lasrin area, which is a day school which does not even have a laboratory. And the school performed so well. Almost 3/4 of the students are now going to join universities. So I think we need fairness, and we need to be accountable, and we need to follow up. Yes. To follow up so that the millions, the taxpayers' money being dispersed to every corner of this country goes to develop the country and not to develop our stomachs.
Indeed. We are going to come back to this conversation because there's something you've said about following up, and how do we do that? That is a question that we shall be addressing once we come back from this short break. Stay with us.
fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Kila mwisho wa juma kwenye runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1.
Tunakuletea Mkulima.
Ni kipindi cha kila mtu.
Iwe wewe ni mkulima mdogo, mkulima mkubwa, muuzaji au mnunuzi,
au yeyote anayenuia kuanzisha kilimo ama ufugaji.
Tunaanza kwa mbinu bora na za kisasa za kilimo, ufugaji,
fursa za kibiashara, kuongeza thamani, pamoja na teknolojia za kuboresha kilimo.
Ni chakula ambao kwetu sisi inatuletea mapato mazuri, watoto wanasoma vizuri.
Mkulima kisasa inakupa maarifa,
motisha na suluhu za kurahisisha mazao,
kuongeza kipato na kulisha taifa kwa ujumla.
Tazama Mkulima kila Jumamosi saa 10:30,
ambapo kilimo na fursa zinapatikana.
Mkulima, tuko hapa kwa ajili yako.
You're still watching Good Morning Kenya. This is Eye on Politics, and we are talking about what has to do with politics, leadership and accountability, especially given the fact that there are some sentiments raised by the former Deputy President regarding the school placement for senior school students, especially when it comes to placement in national schools. David Alulu, I want to get your sentiments first on this. And also there's something that DG said, and I want you to comment on it about following up on these accountability issues. The floor is yours.
Asante sana. I think generally we should agree that the Kenyan education system has a problem. We should start from that. Why would I say the Kenyan education system has a problem? Let's start from the case of the placement that just happened, where we've had a lot of challenges affecting children. If, like DG says, you would place a child from Kajiado to Machakos County Day School, and you have any proper arrangement on what happens, because if you placed a child in Machakos and the parents are living in Kajiado, it means you are telling the parents either to move to Machakos or to rent a place for this young man, 15, 16 years old. Then you are now exposing them to some sort of danger out there. But even that notwithstanding, the utterances that came from the former Deputy President, they are both positive and negative. Let me comment first on the positive.
Yes.
Positive because I think it's about time that we had a serious national conversation on how resources are distributed across the country. That is one. And then two, as the DG says, there need to be a serious accountability on the resources that are distributed across the country through the NGCDF, because unlike what we would say before, we had the distribution of equal distribution of NGCDF. now we have sufficient resources cutting across the 290 constituencies, but then there are some areas where it seems like the NGCDF is working more effectively than some areas. So we need to have a serious conversation and ask a question. Is it even tenable to continue giving resources for education through NGCDF, yet we have some areas who hardly have, leave alone even a national school. Even a C4 as rated right now in those constituencies are working under pathetic conditions. So we need to have this conversation and agree that as a nation, we need to have a serious and urgent conversation on how to upgrade the education system and how to facilitate them. So when we follow that in the positive side of it, I want to believe that Rigiji means that before you even start thinking of going for these well-doing national schools in the country, can we find out how well and how urgent can we upgrade other national schools across the country, so that if a child from Kiambu County, for example, was sent to Busia County or was sent somewhere in Bungoma, they would still feel proud because they are going to an institution that is similar to what they left back home. I would say negative sentiments when we now bring in ethnicity, when we say watoto wetu wa hapa wasipelekwe kwengine na watoto kwengine waletwe hapa, because now all the children in Kenya are Kenyan children. We share the same birth certificate, we share the same national examination certificates, and all the national documentations that we have are given by the same country. So all the children of Kenya, a child from somewhere in Cheptulu, Hamisi constituency where I come from, has equal rights with a child from somewhere in Kingongo in Nyeri County. Every one of these children has a right, and they should be given access to these institutions if the resources they have and that allocated by the government permits it to move forward and facilitate for their education. So I think much as it is good for leaders to advocate for their regions and the people they support, it is also good for leaders to know that every child, both in far-flanked areas and those in urban areas, they have the right to access education equally across the board. They have the right to feel the good institutions and facilities given to any other child in the country. Because look at the just concluded and released KCSE results. You'd realize that we have the same examination paper being competed across the country. Some of the schools don't have even a laboratory. That literally schools have to go into another school to use the laboratory facilities for another school for the same examination. That now I am sitting in a school where we have a 24-hour accessible laboratory, and then there is another school which can only access this once in a term or once in a month, which now becomes unfair. So we need to really agree that these resources, somebody need to do something about it. And I think the government of Kenya, to some extent, hasn't invested more in education sector. I feel like the government needs to up its game on how they deal with the matters education, because in any developing nation, education is a backbone. Education is key. And so we cannot give some good education, others better, others just education. We need to have what cuts across and everybody feels part of it. Resource accountability is very key. Very, very key to an extent that we need to know, the ministry need to come out and tell us, in this area, we have provided sufficient resources to advance the resources and the institutions of national and extra county and even the C4 schools. We have given it cutting across the country. And then with that, we would now ask a question. If Alliance High has the same resources as Chavakali boys in Vihiga, then why is it that Chavakali is not doing well as Alliance is doing? Because we need to have this conversation, but then the government should put in sufficient resources, and perhaps we should now start looking at whether NGCDF is effective, especially in areas of education, or it is just helping some leaders to enjoy themselves and feel like they are small gods in their region. So I think that is the conversation we should have. Resources allocation and equal distribution. I heard one leader saying that some of these countries have been receiving a lot of, it is called equalization fund or something of that kind. They said counties like in northeastern region have gotten resources, massive resources. But then the question then would be, if there are these massive resources, where are they going? Who is following it up? At what point do we get to know that, for example, Marsabit has gotten 10 billion, and out of the 10 billion, how much is going to education sector? How much is going to health sector? And who is supposed to follow it up? Because we are now used to a nation where resources are given, and the next report we get to hear is that funds have been looted, resources cannot be accounted for, and then the politicians will start saying the government is after us, maybe because we are not supporting the government. You know, Kenya has mastered an art where if there is corruption in your county and somebody speaks about it, they say they are pursuing us politically because we are not supporting them. Should we mix politics with the national resources? The answer is a big no.
Yes, indeed. Sibor, when you look at the issues that have been raised, can you say that in some way there are some aspect of laxity in leadership when you look at the issues that we are talking about, and especially one important matter that is education?
Thank you, Mike, for that. First of all, I have to say that these are pioneer students. They're the first lot to move from grade 9 to 10 to senior school. So as usual, we normally have, for the first time, we don't get it right. It's always. Sometimes we expect a lot of mishaps or a lot of issues, which is common, because they are the students who are testing a new system. Remember, I will side with the government that a lot is being done in terms of changing the education system, and that's why the CBC comes in to replace the 844, which is a very good move. And again, I have to concur with my colleagues that accountability is a problem. Not only education, but even other sectors. Because we have systems that are having a lot of porous, the holes, whereby there is no accountability. If you look at the system now, for example, if you look at the fee structure, what is indicated there is not what the parents pay, for example. And who follows this? Because, for example, fee will be indicated 53 annually. But then there's some development, there are some very small fee that add up to over 20,000. Who follows this? Because the person who is suffering is the parent or the guardian. Remember, these are Kenyans. And remember, these things can be done. I believe CBC will be different from the current system. Because right now, I think they are restructuring. And I believe it will work for students and for the general population. But like DG said, accountability. And remember, in terms of governance, people are different. The way you may be earning the same, like me, the same organization. But now I progress or I do better than you. It's the same way the governance in every region is totally different. And that's why the oversight must be done well, and structures must be put in place so that these loopholes can be dealt with, so that we don't get parents suffering, or some people are not getting their fair share or their rightful opportunities.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Performance can never be the same. Innocent, you know, you look at the response that was given towards those sentiments, and it raises the question, isn't leadership about fixing what is broken rather than responding to the sentiment from an angry point of view?
Exactly. Yeah, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, Kenyans, we like, I think we love politics. Yeah, we love that kind of, you know, throwing words to each other. And mostly we forget the significant discussion that we must have. Of course, you see, when the former deputy president made these remarks, there are those on the opposite side, mostly those of us who are in the side of the government, and many people try to be on the defensive side and trying to you know, counteract what he had put, and we forgot the core subject. And education is so important, we can't afford to politicize it, because even as we move towards Singapore, we need to look at our education, fortify it, and ensure that each and every Kenyan has access to quality education. And therefore, the discussion right now should be, how can we make education accessible to each and every Kenyan? And we must be alive to a number of facts. Number one, you will remember, and I'm sure my colleagues here will remember, that at the foundation of this country, you remember the session paper number 10 of 1965, and the details it gave towards the development of this country. And therefore, you will understand why do we have a concentration of well-equipped, well-funded, you know, schools with good history in a certain region of this country, right? So now the discussion should be, how are we going to develop the areas that have been left behind? But again, we should also understand the government, the constitution, and everything. We have pumped a lot of money to those areas whereby some schools leaves a lot to be desired. We need to understand, why is that happening? Are we having, as my deputy governor, is my deputy governor at Machakos? Oh. Yeah, as he has clearly said, accountability. Every leader should be accountable. If we have pumped this amount of money to Northeastern, to Eastern region, to Nyanza and Western, why are we not having good equipped schools? What is the problem? We need to have an audit. Why is this? It's good that this discussion was brought by the former deputy president, regardless of his political persuasion. Let us have a very serious conversation. How can we make sure all the schools in this country are, you know, at one level? Look at the results that have just been released for the KCSE. If I'm not wrong, the students who scored grade A were around 1,900 and something. 1,500 students are from the national schools around Nairobi, around Mount Kenya region, around, you know, this area. So it will be the desire of every parent to send his child to such schools, because you are assured of they will get good grades from those schools. So can we have a situation whereby even a school in Maralal, a school in Machakos, a school down in Mwingi Kitui, a school in, you know, in the shores of Lake Victoria, will be able to give students the desired grades. And I'm telling you, some of these things are quite unfortunate. A Form 4 student is going to sit for his KCSE. He has never seen a test tube. Imagine. And you are sitting for the same exam with another student in Mangu High School who has access to an aeroplane. Imagine. You have never seen a test tube. You are subjected to the same exam with another. So we need to bring the whole country to the same level. Nobody should, no Kenyan student, especially because we are raising our next generation. And this is the generation which is responsible for the next Kenya. So we need to give them what they deserve. Let us have a very honest conversation on the future of our education. Yeah.
There's something, DG, you said, and it's about following up on that accountability. How do we achieve that?
Simple. First and foremost, I need to ask myself, why am I a deputy governor in a county? Was I put there to enrich myself and my allies and my friends and everybody was associated with me? What is the agenda of the people? That's from self. I'm talking about being self and putting the people you lead first. Secondly, is I've seen we have serious investigative agencies in this country. Auditor General, oversight agencies like institutions like the National Parliament, even the county, the regional assemblies. We have serious institutions, but Sir Potter once said fish stinks first from the head. And President Obama, when he visited us in his second term, there is something he said in Kasarani. He said, Africa doesn't need strong men and women, but strong institutions. We need institutionalism and constitutionalism in Kenya. That is, I think, currently is lacking. Because it is these strong institutions that are going to ensure we are accountable individually as a leader. So there are so many ways of ensuring that leaders are accountable to the people they lead. And lastly, also as a country, I think we need a vibrant civil engagement. What I mean is from the very lower level, even at village level, they have their rights. There is what they expect from the county government. There is what they expect from the national government. There is what they expect from their elected leaders. I think we need to ensure our people are aware of this, and they demand, because it is their right. They keep the people they elected under check. Don't wait. Don't wait until you say you will punish somebody after 5 years. That time is gone, it's wasted. The time is now, not tomorrow. The time is now to demand for those things. So there are so many ways of ensuring we follow up on these resources, on the issue of leadership. We need to hold our leaders to account. It's very important. Then I will also add something else. And this is my last point on this, the issue of following up. I think from the national level and from the county level, whenever you are releasing any resources to go to any particular area to go and develop, for example, a school, an hospital, or a road, it is good if you stand and say, today we are releasing 1 million, we are releasing 100,000, we are releasing these billions to this particular project, so that the people who are going to benefit from this particular project, they know from the start, there is this project, we asked for it through a public engagement, public participation, and now it is coming, and the cost is this, starting this date and ending this date. That way, everybody will be fully aware, and we'll be expecting to monitor the progress of this project. And at the end of the day, you will find the government is delivering, those elected are delivering, and also the citizens who are supposed to benefit from this particular project are also aware and are going to benefit. Because information is there is openness, there is accountability, there is transparency in all transactions. Yes.
Alulu, should we be talking about underdevelopment, especially in sectors like education, healthcare, infrastructure, economic empowerment, years after devolution?
And unfortunately, picking it from where the DG left, I've always spoken about civic education. Civic education ensures and helps even the lowest person at the cadre knows what they have, they knows their rights, they know who to go to if things are not working. As opposed to an environment where the Kenyan political class has made it look like the only person who knows it is a politician, and whatever they tell you is what is right. Whether it is right or wrong, you must believe them. You remember the famous saying, baba akiwa amesoma katiba, hata sisi tusiposoma iko sawa. You see? So you realize that we have a problem where Kenyan population has been denied access to information. Denied access to information. You know that there are countries like Uganda, for example, where at the village level, the government has made available information to people through civic educations, using the local leaders who are elected by the community themselves, and they know how to get it going and how to have it running. So civic education would help grant information to people at any level. Should we be even having a conversation about infrastructure development and all this at this particular time? Actually at 60. You know, from where I sit, a man who is 60 years old is going home for retire according to the current laws in Kenya. Yes. You retire at 60. Yes. If you, at the age of retire, you've been working perhaps for 35 years and you're going home for retire and you even don't have a small house for yourself. You know, you are a lost fellow. You are a confused human being. And so I think when we now bring Kenya to that, Kenya is at past 60 years old. We should not even be having this conversation of, you know, if you elect me, I shall construct this road. If you elect me, I shall upgrade this facility. These are things that are supposed to be institutionalized, that even without a politician, this development should be ongoing. That if tomorrow, you know, people should not be knowing or wondering who is this best politician who is doing this and that. We should be having institutions where, that for example, Machakos, we do not have to speak about their former Governor Mutua, the current Governor Wavinya Ndeti and all that. We should be having development rolling that people don't know whether it was Mutua or Ndeti or whoever is doing it. In Kenya, we should not be having conversation like when Kibaki was there, this was done. When Uhuru came, this did not happen. You know, we shouldn't have that. But because Kenya has institutionalized politics, that we eat, sleep, and walk politics every day. We have made things that are basic foundational rights of Kenyans, we've made it look like it's a political right. And that is why those who don't vote for the government would be feeling disadvantaged as opposed to those who are in government. That is why the president goes to Nyeri and has to reassure people in Nyeri that, you know what, I will not disadvantage you. I will not forget about you after 2027 election. It shouldn't be that. It should be
kind of a setting.
You know, we should not be having a situation where I have to convince you that if elected, I will not disadvantage you because the former deputy government president has been saying this or that. We should know that whether or not we vote for this government, it is my right as a Kenyan citizen to have a good road. I come from Hamisi constituency. My village, I go past Kapsabet, then I go home. Now, the road from Kapsabet going all through to Chavakali is in a very deplorable situation. And every time the government would come and tell us, you know, this coming 5 years, we shall construct this. Now, 5 years are almost done. The road is still in pathetic area. So you realize that we should stop the characters of politicizing everything. everything and making it look like without politics, the country cannot move forward. We need to a little bit take a pause as a people, as a nation, and tell ourselves, let's put Kenya first and make sure that every Kenyan citizen has access to clean water, good health facilities, good road infrastructure, good schools, and all this, that I don't need to go to Nairobi to feel like I'm in Kenya. I can still feel a Kenyan in Moyale. I can still feel a Kenyan in Garissa. I can still feel a Kenyan from wherever I come from, and it won't be a problem me being a Luya or a Kalenjin or a Pokomo. I'm a Kenyan, and I have all the access to everything that I need in order for me to be able, in order for me to realize that every Kenyan, that I will convince my child that, you see, my son, you have access to every opportunity there is in this country simply because you're a Kenyan. You see, when President Trump says he's putting America first, people are getting mad. People are saying, you know, Trump is being this and that. But the man is just thinking about his people. When he said the USA should stop, money should come back to benefit Americans, everybody was all over shouting. But the reality is, the man is just thinking about his own people and giving advantage to where it is due. Kenya should rise beyond politics and now get our development agenda institutionalized and get it given to every deserving Kenyan.
Sibuor, now that we are talking about this, what do you think the priorities going forward should be, especially when it comes to the education sector?
Thank you. It is so unfortunate that after a decade into devolution, we are still having some issues to deal with, especially the counties under development, and a lot of money is being pumped to those areas. So it means something or someone is not doing the right thing. And it all points to accountability and goodwill. Because the people who deliver, they have that what we call goodwill in them, so that they know and they can really channel and listen to the people. Because sometimes the people understand their problem better. So once there's that goodwill, there is that, at least something can be done. So the difference between areas that are not developed and areas that are developed is because of political goodwill. And it must start from the top. Because all these years, all these 60 years into independent, we have been having different leaders. And if you analyze how they performed differently. Meaning others were having goodwill than others. So I believe Kenya is very rich, and we can maybe attain the Singapore that our leader is. Yeah, Singapore dream. Yeah, we can do it. We can do it. What we need to do is goodwill, so that we block or we deal with these gaps, pilferages that are so much in other areas. And I like sometimes how he's working, because right now, if you analyze it well, a lot of misuses of funds is reduced, because somehow there's at least a one point of collection in terms of revenue, so that you can at least monitor and disburse them accordingly. So what we need is just goodwill and accountability. We must strengthen the institution, as DJ has said, because these institutions, if they work well, without interferences, they can really deliver. The anti-corruption. The anti-corruption. Actually, they are not strengthened enough. I don't know what is happening, but if they are strengthened enough and they do their work independently, at least we can get a lot of changes. And again, we can also borrow from other countries, benchmark, you see? Because some countries are really doing well, like now we are talking about Singapore. What did they do? What happened to them? What changed them? So we can benchmark from them and bring, like now I was talking about the CBC, it is borrowed from other countries who are really progressing. So we must borrow from the best and come and implement. Kenya, we are good in terms of agriculture. Remember the coffee. We are really a brand there. People want Kenyan coffee. Right now, there are goals in several parts of the country. Those are revenue. And human resource, we are really good in that. So if we use whatever we have, we can really achieve the development that we are dreaming of. Yes.
When you talk about goodwill, Musumbi, and within the education sector, you know, some members of parliament and commentators actually do support sentiments by the former deputy president, and also saying that it calls for more schools, especially national schools, in historically uneven development. There's uneven development when you look at national schools in some areas. You said something about equity. Would that solve the problem?
Yeah, I want to believe so. And you see, maybe the best thing that happened to this country was the 2010 Constitution. The 2010 Constitution tried to institutionalize, as Alulu is saying, to institutionalize everything in this country, to make sure it's no longer about personalities. It is about the Kenyan agencies, the Kenyan institutions, and about the population. So the antidote to all these problems is ensuring that Kenya grows at the same level. And we will have to de-ethnicize our politics, because even look at the kind of conversation we are having in the current country right now, the current dispensation right now. And that's why the president yesterday at Nyeri, he had to defend himself, because the opposition, what they are trying to show is that he has neglected Mount Kenya. That is what the deputy president has continually, you know, drilled to the people, that I was impeached because the president took advantage of us. We gave him votes, but he threw me away, and he's not developing us, and he has gone to look for some other friends who have never supported him. But you see, that is very poor politics. We need to, and I agree with the president when the president is saying the future of this country and the future of our leadership will no longer be about personalities or rhetoric. It is about your track record and the vision you have for the people. So matters education. We need to be very deliberate and try to depoliticize everything about education, because this is about the future of our people. And we should have I wish we would have a bipartisan approach to this thing, regardless of your political position. I want to see a wiper mandarin, like my deputy governor here, coming together with a no-DM leader, with a UDA leader, and discuss very critical issues about our education. But let us not now run to issues of blame game. You see, we are having a situation whereby we are blaming leaders from the northeastern, saying that they are building malls in Nairobi, yet they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing in their constituencies. Or we normally fly to Lajera constituency, we do a function there, and I fly with them back to Nairobi. You know, that should not be the discussion. Number one, let us agree on what is the way forward. Number two, if these guys have mismanaged their NGCDF, if they have managed their devolution funds, can they be brought to book? Because what we are having is just hearsays and talks. Let us see ESCC working. Let us understand, why is Lajera constituency, for example, or Dadaab constituency, it receives this amount of money, but we are not seeing whatever is happening there. Can we now have a conversation? Can we see the leader being put to task? Why is this not happening? But when we now politicize the whole thing and having press conferences, I saw leaders from Northeastern having a press conference trying to respond to what Rigathi Gachagua had said. That is not what we need. We need solutions. We need people to sit down in a very sober manner and discuss about the future of our education.
Indeed. In the interest of time, I'll give you each 30 seconds to give your closing remarks, and I'll start with you, Sibua.
Thank you, Mike. What I have to say is that Rigathi Gachagua was right to mention that, but now the emotion could bring what we call the incitement, which is not good.
Yes.
So when we are talking about matters education, we are supposed to have a candid discussion because it entails our future, because the generation depend on the education.
Indeed.
And not only education, a lot of things must be put in place, especially health. So structures must be in place, and things must work.
All right, things must work.
Things must work.
Alolu.
I have a very serious concerns about how our education is treated. For example, looking at the headlines on Daily Nation, why we won't be joining grade 10. And it is speaking about the lack of funds and resources. Very soon, you are going to see some bursary tokens coming out and a few things, scholarships from a few quarters, which does not reach out to majority of people or children that require it. I think it is good we go back again to the conversation where could we scrub the bursaries and the funds that are coming from different places and have a national education fund where children don't need to pay school fees. They should be called to these schools and go study. He alluded to something that is very funny out there. When you go to school, there is what we call a fee structure. You are told you pay 53,000, but then something is hidden. You are told there is where I went. They say there is a PTA fund for 20,000. There is another dome. We need to build another dome, 30,000. Before you realize these national schools, children are paying up to 100,000, but on paper it is 53,000. So there is no fairness in all this. So even if a child performed very well from somewhere in Malakisi and they are called to a national school in Nairobi and the parent is supposed to pay 100,000 per year, you know, even if you are selling land, you will sell even your kidneys. So it is not fair. The education in Kenya should be reorganized and re-strategized and stop these things of blackmailing our children with bursaries and I don't know, some tokenism. We should have a good national education fund. Indeed. That will help the education sector in Kenya.
Indeed. DG?
Let's do the right thing. Sometimes it is never good to blame. Let me go for solutions. The road to Singapore or better. I think Kenya is better. It should be better than Singapore, in my understanding. Cannot be realized in the absence of education. Ensure we have quality education in Kenya, which is free from the pre-unit all the way to basic at the university level should be free. I've seen the ruling people, the ruling group. You don't know nowadays, you don't know who is who. Because they started as a KK, I don't know, now they are, I don't know, bread-based something. You can't understand what it is. So they need to please put education at the center of everything. This is serious. Number two, we cannot go around slaughtering the youths and then we start again tokenism. We need again to realize the dream of institutionalism as enshrined in 2010 Constitution. I wish next time, Migwi, and on a serious note, not necessarily referring to the current president or the current crop of governors or deputy governors. You call serious people here who will tabulate to Kenyans how is it to move a president, national president, from point A to B, the cost implication.
Okay.
Or even a governor moving to go and launch a project. The cost, that cost attached to that alone.
Yes.
So in this case, we need, in the point I'm bringing of in institutionalism, we used to have youth fund, channel those billions there, channel that World Bank money through youth fund and let it be done at ward level so that it is even across the country.
Indeed.
Fairness, equitability of our resources.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Musumbi, finally.
Yeah, thank you. So my closing remarks are we need to get serious. We need to shun any form of mediocrity. We can no longer afford now to experiment with the life of Kenyans. And as Alulu said, that at 60 years we should be thinking of very other issues, not the very basics. So we have now to play catch up. That is why we have to do what we call accelerated but deliberate development.
Okay.
And on matters education, we should avoid and shun any form of politics on matters education and ensure that our children get affordable and quality education.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And last point, 2 seconds. This country invested a lot in technical training in institutions across the republic. We need to equip them. We need to ensure they are functioning because some of them are where they were constructed are not functional. Yes. And I remember the policy of the former government was anybody going to those institutions was to be sponsored 100% free. So we need to have them function and ensure they are running. Actually, the over 50% of those students who are not proceeding to universities can go through those institutions and you ensure. And there is a lot of demand worldwide about the products of our technical training institutes.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time to come and talk on matters that regard education right here on Good Morning Kenya. That is Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst, and also His Excellency Francis Mwangangi, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County, Dr. Billy J. Omeno-Sibua, who is a political analyst, and David Alulu, economist and political analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time. This is where this conversation ends. My name is Mike Migo. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly. Stay with us.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision.
You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood on KBC TV for Dada's Show.
Guys, woo! It is our lagging day. Yani bahati.
Hayati tena. Mimi naingia chooni, nimalize alafu nitoke.
Hapa lazima ukanje.
Sitalipa.
Enda.
Unaweza ndeka at least na ka loan pass.
I don't work with laws.
Toka uende.
We don't have to do this.
Marada mkae. Mbona unalipisha na hawa ni customer wetu wamekuja pale kula na lazima waende haja?
Bishaje Ramos. Ushalipisha choo hapa kweli? Hapana. Sasa tunasikia mamoka.
Nyinyi wafanyikazi mutanitia pressure.
You think that I love him and that I would do anything to save him. However, let me make this clear. I despise the man. Who are you trying to fool, Mom? I know you're interested in him. Honey, just admit it. You are interested in him. Fine then. I'm very much interested in him.
It's that easy? The investigation's still open, so we need to be able to find you easily. That means you can't leave the city anytime soon, nor do whatever it is you want. That goes for your father as well. Do me a favor and make sure he gets the message.
But I hate the fact that she has everything, while I have nothing.
From Kisumu County, and we are focusing, as usual, every Monday, 8 to 9, we are focusing on issues that actually affect the people and the businesses of this particular region. And today, we will be talking matters leather, and we have the Secretary General of the Leather Apex Society of Kenya, Maurice Omondi, of course, who will be delving deeper into exactly that sector, the challenges, what needs to be done, and of course, he'll be telling us where they are as at now in terms of just ensuring that indeed that sector can actually rake in enough resources and create employment for the Kenyan populace. But also, I just want to make it clear that yesterday we had actually put out posters to the effect that we'll be hosting the former Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of delivery and government efficiency in the office of the President Eliud Owalo, who has since resigned. And of course, we're expecting him today in the morning to have a discussion around his presidential bid and exactly how he's actually going to navigate through the entire process. And we were actually expecting him till later in the night when he did place a call and say that he will not be available for today's interview because of very many other unforeseen factors. And of course, he's actually gone on to resign from his position. Of course, it is an issue that we'll be keeping our eyes on keenly to just see how it's going to unravel in terms of his next step. And of course, you can trust us in terms of ensuring that indeed we bring you first-hand information of what will be happening in that sphere. But of course, we come back to Maurice Omondi. Maurice Omondi, karibu sana. Maurice, in 1979, the leader sector was one of the major import earner for the country. What happened?
Once again, my name is Maurice Omondi, the Secretary General of Leather Apex Society of Kenya. We are an apex body for all the value chain association in the leather sector. Now, coming back to your question.
All the bodies.
That's the associations.
The associations, yes, those associations.
Yes.
Just kindly enumerate them because a layman on the ground would actually think that there are probably one or two. But as we were having a discussion off camera, you told me there are quite a number.
Well, and the value starts and the quality starts at the farm, because the first person to handle leather is actually the farmer. And that's the first person that must be given the first information to take care of leather. Then after that, we go to the abattoirs. Those are people who are killing and the way they flay. Flaying is actually...
Killing or slaughtering?
Slaughtering, sorry. Slaughtering and then flaying. That is actually a very important point where we have an association that stands for there. Then after that, leather can be used in two areas. In West Africa, they are actually using so much for food, and it's another export line that is actually competing with the raw materials as we speak. And then from there, you can also preserve it. There are several ways of preserving the leather. You can use direct sun, which when you use it direct sun, we might not be able to use it for manufacturing. So, but then you can also use suspension. You use salt, industrial salt to preserve. You do that, then it is for us to add value. So leather, when you add value, it gives you almost 21 times the value of what it is by the time you are doing the flaying. So we have an association in the hides and skin. So the hides and skin can either export it at that point, because there are some people who are looking for the same raw materials from Kenya, and they can export it. Then there are tanners. Once you go to the tanners, there are people who now convert it from now the raw hides or skin. And I say the hide is for the bigger animals, the skin is for the small one, the goats, and even the fish has got leather. Yes. So when at that point, it just from the tanners, now it goes to people who add value. Yeah, like now I'm also, besides being the Secretary General, I'm also the Chairman Leather Articles Entrepreneur Association. We have those people who are informal, like the one that you see in Kariako and all over the country that are making shoes and other bags, the informal and the formal ones, who are doing very good bags, handmade, and they are liked so much in Europe and America. That's another one. And then they have the cobblers. The Cobblers Association, there are people who are actually handling leather for repairs. And it is a very big industry, people don't know. Because you might buy a shoe at 15,000 and then it just gets torn. You'll have to repair it. And then we have also the scientists and the academicians that they are also, that's another line of, and the people doing marketing. So along that value chain, we collapse it into one, so that when we are speaking to the government, because if we are disintegrated, it's not very easy for government to get policy on that. So like you mentioned, in 1979, leather in Kenya was a key import earner after tea. But then when after 1980s, when the market was liberalized, it was like you have to buy what is competitive. You must not be able to close your economy. Then our economy was not ready. So we lost it out, because whatever we were manufacturing was not competitive in quality and pricing. So we lost it. So by losing it means that all the value chain I've mentioned, people lose jobs.
And they collapse. So the question is that what are we doing wrong, and what can we do in terms of ensuring that indeed we reverse the trends to a level where we can actually start reaping maximally from that particular sector?
As we speak, the Leather Apex exists for that. And that's why we were formed. When the government realized in 2002 that we are losing out in job creation, yet the consumption of leather products is increasing, then they realize there's a gap. It means that we are importing more than we are consuming. Then very soon we are going to be a net importer of all that we are consuming. And because Leather Apex also sits at the East African leather desks, it is presumed that the year 2035, East Africa will be consuming around 567 million pairs of shoes, but out of that, only a quarter will be manufactured within the East Africa. So to reverse the trend, as you have said, we must start by discussing and putting things into place on how do we do it. At the moment, we realize the Leather Apex, together with the government, realize that even our military police and the NYS were consuming imported products. Then President Uhuru, we lobbied and he gave a presidential decree that nothing should be imported that is being consumed by our military. And we were challenged. And as I speak, the government is actually 100% consuming the military, police, and everything that has been manufactured locally. That one gives room for us to manufacture. But the number is very small. And at the moment as we speak, even up to last week, we were speaking to the Ministry of Education and the Treasury on how we can actually put as a procurement item for back-to-school schools. Because I realize some of us, and I've talked to sitting and former CSs, And they are telling me the time they were only putting shoes when we are going to Form 1. That is the same trend if you go to the rural areas of this country. Most either they have an inappropriate shoes or nothing. So we said from the Leather Apex, and we are discussing with government, that we need to put a vote aid for the free primary that they have, so that at least, and that will give us around 21 million pairs of shoes. And it will require more than 50 billion for us to be able to do that. And that is money that is just circulating within the country. So leather is wealth for me, and we just need to be able to pull the market towards what we are producing to give us room to be able to compete.
Morris, when you look at the figures that you're actually mentioning, yes, this is a low-hanging fruit that each and every one of us is just passing by, yeah, and actually choosing to ignore, right? Yeah. And one of the, before I go to the next question that I wanted to ask is that how then do we ensure that we can actually satiate the demand that is actually there? Because the demand is there. Talking about 600 and something million shoes that is just in demand, and we are just able to actually provide just a quarter of it, right? In schools alone, you're talking about 21 million plus, right? So then that means that this is a sector that jobs are just waiting to be exploited, resources actually being exploited, waiting to be exploited. How then do we move from a level where we are looking at a fruit hanging on the tree and actually exploiting that fruit?
One is about inputs. You know, almost, if you're doing tanning, like a small tanner in Kisumu, almost 21, we use 23 chemicals. And out of the 23 chemicals, 21 are imported. Yeah, so that one makes it very uncompetitive for us. So what we are telling the government, because we are leveraging in the Ethiopia, which has done very well, and Egypt. What we can do a bonded kind of arrangement, so that as an association we bring those inputs here, and then we can give them to our members at a very reduced price that is competitive, can be able to make them. That's number one. Number two, I told you about the market.
Just before you continue, Morris.
Yes.
Morris, relying on about you said about 21 chemicals.
Yeah, 23 chemicals.
23 chemicals, right? Yes. To get leather, right? 21 of them, or 23, or whichever number. 21 of them actually imported.
Yes.
How do you remain competitive? Because if, for instance, I'm competing against Ethiopia, right? And Ethiopia is actually the producer of those chemicals. How do they favor me in terms of ensuring that whatever I'm trying to produce here at home is slightly cheaper or competitive to whatever they're having in their markets?
Of Ethiopia, and more of them is what you call FDI, foreign direct investment. The investors come and do a bulk purchase through their Apex body like ours, and then we go buy them at very reduced cost. It's actually a lot of the tax has been removed from it, so that I can go to access it. That's number one. Number two, we are negotiating with the government on how we can be able to have a central place where we can even manufacture some things like dyes and some chemicals like binders, and even, in fact, do you know we have too much resources. The only thing that we don't know how to be able to convert those resources, like there's what we call fat liquor. Fat liquor is actually the normal fat that you have from animals, and then they just put it into a situation where you can be able to use it. Like we have sunflowers all over. We can plant sunflower. So we are looking for a situation where the government, and we are actually talking to government on how we can be able to talk to the institutions like Kenya Industrial Research to do more research, so that we can be able to have reverse engineering of whatever is coming to the country, that we can manufacture it locally. It creates more jobs, because then we will be importing very little. By the way, like chrome, some of these chemicals is just about scientific mixtures of other chemicals. Then you have it. Like now we are getting so much from India and Germany. But these are things that we don't need to be able to import. So one of the the land that we are engaging the government is, the Kirdi is a research institution. Kenya Industrial Research Estates provides money. So we mix the same and train more people on how to make the same and be able to provide it locally. That's already the job created at the point of of entry, yes.
What is from your talk? you are painting a picture where that looks like there's a great disconnect from the research department and I mean what you guys are supposed to be doing, and probably even the government, right? Then the question is, because I have done quite a number of stories of young researchers who are exploring areas that we hitherto were not thought to be very constructive to the hides and or leather sector. For instance, fish. And there was a young researcher here at Kemfree called Dennis, and there's another lady called Helen. And they've done quite a lot in terms of just converting that fish skin into leather and actually coming up with shoes and what have you, right? That essentially means that there's something that these researchers can actually do. Where's the place of young people, young researchers into this sector in terms of ensuring that indeed we can actually be playing at the same par with the big boys in the sector?
Thank you. The only missing link between our researchers and the research of other third world country, I mean for the advanced country, is the commercialization of our research. Yes. You realize that security has a lot of
uptake. Because commercialization comes with the uptake of that research.
Commercialization to the market and then preparing the market to take what I'm doing. So you realize that sometimes a lot of research is done and they do it like on daily basis. Then they are just paperwork and then thrown on the shelf. We have personally I'm a product of what you call the business incubation. Business incubation was like you are taken in by Kiridi with your idea, and then once they perfect everything by standardizing, making sure that what you're doing is within the levels that can be able to compete. Like KBC comes in, you patent your products through KIPI, and then you are just prepared. All the bodies that are there that are supposed to be there to help you makes you ready. But then you realize, like the fish leather, when it was fish leather research started in 1985 in this country, for your information. It was done and it was ready to go to the market. But then when it was supposed to go to the market, somebody like me, when I went into Kenya Industrial Research, I realized that this thing is already a product that I just need to add into other products. Then I push the market. But that is a very heavy line that requires a lot of somebody to be still incubated, and then you help him also prepare the market. Now, you could get good products, but then marketing of the same becomes a very big problem. That's why we are saying that the former Export Promotion Council of Kenya, the now is called Kebroba, or they should develop a line where they are just, with biasness, take this product and go look for market for it. Like what the Chinese are doing. The China, what you see coming here have been done with very small people in very small industries. Yeah. Yeah, they call it small industries. They put it together and then they go look for the market. And that was done by the government. So I know the government is doing a lot, especially at the research, and they have also provided a lot of funds for the youth. There is the youth fund, there is the women fund, then now there's the hustler fund. But you see, this money sometimes it is not sufficient. You want to give me 50,000 shillings for a product that requires maybe 100 or even 1 million shillings to be able to roll through. So we need to hybrid or make the money cheap, not affordable, not cheap.
Affordable.
Yes.
Yes. Affordable. Yes. Maurice, when you talk, and you are the Secretary General of the Leather Apex Society of Kenya, right? You are painting a picture of he's supposed to be doing. I am watching if he's doing or not. And if he's not doing it, then we are, of course, all of us being affected. How then do we create synergies between these very important organizations, the Leather Apex Association, the government, the researchers unit, and of course even the players in the sector, so that then there's a common understanding of exactly what we need to do, so that then this sector, as you have already said, we can actually exploit the very vast opportunities that are actually in that particular sector.
Synergies is a very good important point, because the way we are approaching it at the moment is we are going through the PPP. We have realized that it's not very possible for government to consume its own products. And every year they put a lot of budget. In fact, the government has put heavy budgets for the leather development in this country. And we have Kenya KLDC, which is actually the first point of reception of information that we have. But then you realize that most of the information and whatever has been budgeted is actually at maybe at the research level or at training level, but not at building the markets. So what we have decided, for example, what I mentioned to you, we realize that, okay, now that we don't have the market and we have the product, how can we make sure that we are consuming our own? I can't do it as a private sector because somebody would say that I'm biased for people who are importing. By the way, I was told that what the government is looking for is from KRA, how much am I collecting from either imports or whatever is made locally. But then I asked them a simple question before I answer that question. As you buy a shoe that are manufactured locally and you buy a shoe that has been imported, the value through the process, right from hides and skin to when I am putting it on, has affected so many people and created so many jobs. But when you just import it, just one person, a trader, and maybe somebody who is going to distribute it, are going to have, so it's going to have a minimal effect on the economy. So we have come to agree with the government on one thing, that whatever is going to be consumed for our country needs to be discussed between the government and the private sector. And as we speak, that's why I'm telling you, we have meetings that we are actually, like the presidential decree on military issues, we have meetings after every 3 months. And we bring in all the procurement organizations and tell us what they have procured, and we call it traceability, to check that it's true, because some people actually, when they are given orders, they can still import brand. Yeah, so what we are saying is that we have to, there are so many import lines that we have to be able to look at very critically, so that we can actually, I don't know whether it's, when I call protecting the market, with a liberal kind of market, it will look like it, like the common.
But what is, if need be, the market must be protected. Market must be protected for our local, entrepreneurs and innovators to actually thrive. Going to the next question, going to the basics. You look around, and in our off-camera conversation, I was telling you that when I was still young, I would see someone walking around picking those skins and hides in our villages, and of course those small butcheries around the village. Yes, abattoirs, right? Yesterday we were having a conversation with one of our leading politicians in this region, and one of the things he said was that he's keen on ensuring that we have a serious abattoir in Migori because of the livestock that is actually found there. And then two, also to ensure that the amount of or the price of the hides and skins, he says that per kg is just about 50 bob, right? However, when that skin has actually, or hide has actually been processed, and we have a shoe, we are selling it up to 50,000 shillings. The variance is embarrassing.
The question has come in several ways.
You say because so the basics, we must ensure that those basics are there, abattoirs are there and enough, so that then there's proper handling of the hides and skins that are actually available. And then two, yes, and then two, also creating awareness in terms of creating what is needed, so that then we don't sell for 50, but and you're telling me that the price had actually gone down to 10 bob.
Yeah.
Yes.
By 202, people were actually burning these things until a market came from West Africa. They eat it. And then the problem is that at the eating is that they have to sun dry it. When you sun dry any hide or skin, most of the skins, hides, you can never use it for manufacturing, because then the composition and the cycle has been destroyed. But you have to preserve it the right way. So if I have to answer your question, I want to challenge the people who actually in the counties. As we speak, the pre-primary schools are under counties. And even if the government was to give a procurement line for back-to-school shoes that we are pursuing, the pre-primary schools is with the counties. Like the Nyeri County, we were actually establishing a manufacturing line for shoes for Nyeri County last last year, where what they do is that they manufacture shoes, and then the parents have been given a very reduced price from that center they give to the children, and it's working for them. So as the politician is asking, you would want to see, we just need a discussion with them. Number one, abattoir needs to be there. If the abattoir is not there, because people who are doing the kills in the village, they don't know what that skin is meant for, and they are going to make a lot of cuts, and any knife cut, however big is a waste. Hata kama ilikuwa, even if it's a very big cow of whatever nature, any cut, especially at the major areas, it makes a waste, because then at the time when I'm selling it, there is what we call selection. Number two, the politician needs to really move very closer to the association like us. Then you tell them, at the moment, the value of a kg is lower because the demand of the same hide to finished is very low. We have, instead of tanneries and companies that are manufacturing coming up, as much as our consumption is going up, it means we are importing more than what we are producing. We are killing the industry. Therefore, as you said, protecting the market, that's an area that can be handled by the politicians. One time, we went to the East Africa, requested for 25% duty for every shoe or leather material that was coming, or $10 here was higher. Let me tell you, it worked for only 6 months. The same Kenyan government, I think synergy that we are talking about, it was decided by Ministry of Industry by then, but the Ministry of East Africa wrote back to the Ministry of East Africa, to East African desk, saying that we are becoming unfair. But see, so we shot ourselves on the foot by that time. But again, we have written back to the Deputy President. There's an economical council. We had a meeting sometimes in November, and we had written. So when we were explaining the same thing, asking how was that going to be possible? But he said sometimes the institutions that are in the government are not doing it the right way, because they're just doing it for some few people who have gone to complain, some importers. But then we have to be very careful that whatever we consume is our own. But you see now, my brother, there's a problem, especially for people who are coming from Luo Nyanza. If we say that this product has been made from Italy, and this one is made in Kenya, so we need to unlearn ourselves to love our own things. Yeah, because that one is another. We need to unlearn and then learn back our people that if you buy something that is locally manufactured, you are creating job for your own children. You see that are in the house and cannot be able to get any job.
So, what is, your shoes are Italian made.
Yes.
And you are the Secretary General of the Leather Apex of Kenya.
Yes.
That aside, one other major challenge that we've actually seen in this value chain, right, is the fact that we're actually exporting a lot of live animals out there, and especially in Middle East. Yes. How then do you ensure that, even in conclusion, how then do we ensure that even as we tap into that market, that we are actually exporting meat and not exporting even the hide? That, because when you're selling a goat for let's say 10,000 shillings, you're not factoring in the fact that there are other products that can actually be found from that particular animal other than meat.
One thing that you have said, which is very interesting, in a cow, there's nothing that it's thrown.
Yes.
The bones are a very big resource for ornaments for the ladies and other things. Export of live animals has reduced, but it has come in a different way, the export, where we are manufacturing up to a certain stage called the wet blue, semi-processed. Now, from the tanning, we call it tanning section, between raw up to wet blue, there are very heavy chemicals that some of them have been burnt in Europe and also in America. So what they do, they'll come and pick it when you have done the heavy work for what we call wet blue. So 95% of what we are exporting in the leather sector as we speak is actually the semi-processed product. And that's only 10% value. And on the reverse, what we are telling the government, we can only be able to make use of what we have by making market available for us, training our people and giving proper facilities to our traders and manufacturers on how they can become competitive. That was the things that I've mentioned to you about making available money for money that is affordable. You know, sometimes if I go to, like Egyptians, what they do, if now the interest rate for the bank is 23, Egypt will give that loan to a manufacturer in the sector at 5%. They take care, they caution them on that. And that's what they do. The government of Kenya had also gone that direction, but silently it has been given to the banks to give you what you call unsecured loan, but it is unsecured with the same rates. So it's not helping as much. So we are telling the government, as much as there's money that you've made available, we need to talk on the interest rates. Because the interest rate, if you have to invest in leather, my brother, now, and whatever you're paying back is more than 6%, you cannot be able to break even on that, because that the way the leather sector requires a lot of investment. By the way, the biggest investment in leather sector is actually machineries, and some of the machineries are making us uncompetitive. Is actually what is making us incompetitive is we are using very old style machineries. That's why we told the government, let's come up with what we call common user facilities. If you go to Kenya Industrial Research, you find one. Ahiti Kabete will get one. Kariako, there's one. And then there's one that's coming in Machakos. There's a very big leather park that is coming in Machakos. Well, that is a second March. But that was an idea that came through the discussion of Leather Apex and the government of Kenya. So what will happen, like what we call effluent treatment plant, that's a very heavy line, because whatever comes out, do you know, the manure, the fur that comes from the cow, at some point, once you have used it, it becomes more like soil. It has been so used, but then you have to know how to dispose it. So we have come up with a common user facility in Machakos so that people will be in a central place. There can be so many tanneries, but then they're using one effluent plant. So those are the areas that we have, and the government is actually the only thing that the process is very slow. So we are actually talking on how this can be done. Another thing that we have done is that going forward through the government, they have said that at least every month we should be comparing notes on the things that have been done, so that we know whatever was budgeted at the Ministry of Industry, is it in place? I'm there to tell them, as much as you budgeted it or you're implementing it, you're going the wrong direction. So we just have an open room for us to be able to correct one another. Yes.
Discussion. Yes. In conclusion, the future of the industry. I mean, we're looking at the figures, quite impressive. What needs to be exploited is actually just hanging there, low-hanging fruits for us to actually exploit it. When you look at what you guys are doing and what the government is doing, and all the sector players are actually putting in place in terms of ensuring that indeed this sector ticks, what is the future?
Now, let me start at the global angle. The leather sector in the global market is $150 billion US dollars. Out of the $150 billion US dollars, Africa alone is doing 0.4%. And in Africa, Kenya is the third largest producer of hides and skins. So it means that we have the capacity to be able to do what you're doing. So the future is we need to train, we need to make money available, and then we need to be able to a little bit protect our market so that we can be able to provide competitive products for the market to be able to help us be consumed within our means. And the job, and our children that are going to school without shoes, which generation is this? This is a wonderful generation that, so if we can be able to solve problems using the challenges that are existing, then I think the leather sector is the best place to be. We are envisioning that in the next 2 years, we will be employing from 30,000 people now to maybe 150,000 people. If the government allows us to be able to push the 21 million pairs of shoes by giving us just something in their procurement line. And I think that is going to come very soon.
Fantastic. From just 30 150,000 job opportunities. They are projecting that they can actually hit up to 150,000 job opportunities for the young people out here. Of course, that is a sector that the government, of course, each and every person who is actually well thinking for the nation needs to look at in terms of ensuring that they can actually exploit those vast potential. Of course, we've been talking to Maurice Omondi, the Secretary General of Leather Apex Society of Kenya, just delving deeper into what the government needs to do, what they are doing, and of course the opportunities that lies in that particular sector, and what they can do in terms of ensuring that indeed they can actually exploit that sector. This is a conversation that will continue. Of course, you can continue that conversation on social media handles at KBC Channel 1. Of course, you can also do it on my social media handle, that is Achola Simon, across all platforms. But also, this conversation has actually been live on Mayenga digital platform, so you can also continue to having a discussion around this particular topic on that particular platform. And of course, this is a conversation that we will want to continue, given the figures and opportunities that lies in that particular sector. On behalf of each and every person who has actually been involved in terms of ensuring that indeed this program goes on air, my colleagues here, camera persons, Christina Diambo, Swibe Nyamatika, and of course logistics person Edwin Othieno, and of course the management of this particular hotel, Mirage Palace Hotel here in Kisumu, that continue to give us this space, so then we can actually have this show. We say thank you, and we take you back to Broadcasting House.
All right, from that conversation on the leather industry by my colleague Simon Achola, we now take a break, but let me let you know what we'll be coming back to once we come back. We know we are in that, New Year mood, New Year craze, and most of us have resolutions. And when it comes to resolutions, financial resolution comes top of the list. So that is what we will be talking about today, right now, after the break. So don't you go too far. We'll be coming back, and I'll introduce my guests to you as we take it away on the financial bit of your resolution.
Umepanga kuniangamiza kabisa? Hiyo familia unachukia ni familia yangu. Nimekuja na kakitu tusherekee.
Doc amesema ukimaliza uende usign contract yako.
Wewe. Hiyo kitu ambacho ulikuwa umechimba hapo toa. Usinipime wazimu wangu.
Kila kitu anatutakia kitamrudia.
Really, I have so many patience. Just go straight to the point. What did I tell you?
Sorry, Doc.
Wedi.
Wewe sema kitu imekuleta hapa.
Kitu iko sawa. Karibu sana, karibu kiasi kiserikali, unajua haishindi na jambo lolote.
Mamba alionekana usiku wa kuamkia leo.
Mamba.
Nitagundu wakita. Guys, woo. It is our lagging day.
Naiba freeze kuna.
Yani bahati.
Bahati tena. Mimi naingia chooni, nimalize alafu nitoke.
Hapa lazima ukanje.
Sitalipa.
Enda.
Unaweza msaidie at least na ka loan pass.
I don't work with loans.
Toka uende.
We don't have to do this.
Marada mkae. Mbona unalipisha na hawa ni customer wetu wamekuja pale kula na lazima waende haja?
Vishaje Ramos? Ushalipisha choo hapa kweli? Hapana. Sasa unasikia mamoka.
Nyinyi wafanyikazi mutanitia pressure.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
And we're back. The conversation is on resolutions, planning and budgeting. And joining me for the conversation, beginning with my far right, we have Priyanka Shah. Priyanka Shah is the co-founder and chief operations officer, Avocap Asset Managers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, and right next to Priyanka, we have John Kamau, and John Kamau is the head of business development for the same, that is Avocap Asset Managers. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
Now, this is the perfect time to have this conversation, you know, before we get too far into the year and then to say, well, I guess this wasn't my year financially speaking. Yeah. So how about we start planning for it in the right way now? I want to begin with you, John, and I am sure you know, you've heard of the term January, which is a coined word for January, to mean that it's a month of hunger. It's a month where we're just eating cabbages every day, you know? Yes. And this is usually the norm every other year. Why do you think that is the case? Or is it actually a thing, or it's a facade?
It's actually a thing. And first of all, to all our viewers, I want to encourage you as we go on this 67th day of January, a few more remaining to go. Be strengthened. We are going to finish the month strong. But let me say this, most of the time, January looks like the longest month among the months of the calendar. Yet, all months are the same. But this is because stepping back 2 steps or 3 steps back, the month of December, we usually have a lot of indulgence, sherehe, spending, people traveling, buying clothes, doing a lot of things. And you know, the salary that you're paid the month of December should take you until the end of January. Remember, it is not the salary has not increased, but there are so many things that have come to compete for that same salary that you received in the month of December. Some of us get paid, and you know most employers pay early. We get paid maybe by mid-December so that we can be able to take care of travels and all those things. So can you imagine the same salary that always ends before you start planning for it now has more elements and more things that are competing for it. So that explains why it looks long. Number 2, January is quite a heavy expenditure month. For some of us who are parents, we are taking back our children to school. People are, you know, also going back to school themselves, changing jobs, moving from one estate to another, payment for insurance, deposits, and many other things that come with a month. So if you did not make good plans, and if you did not account for the salary that you received or income, if, for example, you're in business, then you will find there are so many days at the end of the money. You know, there are so many days and it looks agonizing waiting for the next salary. So my encouragement is that, you know, we are here in January, but there is also be another January. So what are you going to do so that you don't find yourself crying the same cry that you have been crying every other January? And I think that's why we are here, so that we can address that.
All right. And Priyanka, I want you to weigh in on the same, but now from this angle, you know, when it's a new year, it's the time when we all feel motivated. So there's a new kind of motivation that has gotten into everyone. So what is why is planning more important than motivation, specifically when we come to money, when you talk money?
Yeah, that's motivation is important. Motivation is what causes the shift in your mind. It makes people realize, I need to do better, I need to have more control of my money. And so motivation is what makes you move. And so that's your foundation. But if you have motivation alone, then you'll have inconsistencies in your financial plan, right? You will, when you're motivated and inspired, you'll save more. And then when life gets busy, other things hit your priority list and you stop, and then guilt kicks in and you start again. And that's what causes it's a very inconsistent pattern in your plan, and that's why you add planning. So what planning actually does is it puts you in control. It will remove it will protect your financial plan from your emotions, and it'll turn that motivated decision into a structure, right? And now all of a sudden your savings are now automated, your investments are now scheduled, your budget is more defined, and so even when motivation stops, your money is still moving in the right direction. I think motivation creates movement, and planning is what makes sure that movement does not collapse.
Okay, so both of them are important.
Yes.
You know, the motivation should still be there, but
Yeah.
don't go or follow through blindly.
Yes.
You need to have the planning bit of it
Yeah.
for you to be able to, you know,
Yeah.
at least stay in line.
Yeah.
And, you know, my next question is almost, you know, on the same. Now, as we mentioned, every year people promise themselves, you know, at every beginning of the year, we get to promise ourselves to save more, get to invest our money here and there, work more on our expenditure, whereby we try and spend less, you know, and save more. So how do we ensure that we are following through with that? You know, because most times we fall off the bandwagon by the time we get to February, March, April, thereabout, you've fallen off the bandwagon. So how do you ensure that you're following through on everything that you have planned, as she mentioned, on your financial plans?
Thank you so much. And I think that was a very good foundation, Priyanka. The fact that you need to put a structure around your plans, so that they are not just hanging on motivation that is not anchored on any plan. Let me say this: when we are broke, like most of us are right now, we have a lot of motivation to do good things. You know, that's when you tell yourself, I'll save. When I get the next money, I will save. When I get money, you even swear to remove some of the friends who are usually part of the reason why you spend more on things that may not be important. So when there's scarcity, or when we are hit by realities that, oh God, now I am here, I don't have the money I spent, I did the sherehes, yes, but here is school fees and many other things that I need to do. This is the time most people are so motivated to do the right thing. But let me tell you, without proper structures, the money will come in. The first thing you will say, I think I suffered enough, so let me first of all go and pigia mwili pole. We will reset. Tutaanza upya in February, and the story continues until the end. So the first thing is, you need to understand that, as Priyanka said, without proper planning, without proper structures, good resolutions remain good on the book. They will not translate to anything meaningful. You need to have a plan that will translate those things that you're saying into actionable points. It's almost the same thing as a person who says, this year I'm gonna cut weight, or this year I'm gonna do this and this. But if you don't do anything, then the story will continue until the December, and you realize,
6 mandazis,
yeah, exactly, with green tea, exactly. So there is no structure that is holding those plans in place. Number two, the why needs to be strong. If the why is not strong enough, motivation dies the second week, the third week. By the time we are getting February, all the New Year resolutions of last year are done and dusted, and now we start again. So you find most of the time we have New Year resolutions which are the last year's resolution, because we didn't finish previous year's resolution. Like, we always end it at a quarter half. We never accomplish them. Why? Because the why is not strong enough. If you have a very good why, if you see yourself on the other side of the river, having crossed, and now you can see yourself, I was disciplined, I saved, I did this and this, and you can see that person, then the why would be strong enough to take you there. Number three is breaking those goals into consumable chunks. Sometimes you want to do a very big thing, but you haven't broken it into very good small chunks that can be absorbed right now. If you want to, say for example, you want to put a deposit to buy a car or school fees or whatever that goal is, what is it that you can do on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, that will anchor you towards getting there? Maybe you need to reduce eating out. Maybe you need to reduce on subscriptions that are not necessary. You know, what are those small things that you need to do? But above all, understand that financial success has little to do with understanding jargons in finance and Excel sheets and all, and has more to do with behavior. So if you don't treat behavior, then you are just treating symptoms. The sickness will still be there, and it will continue eating you.
That is very well put. And now I want us to get into the planning bit now. We talked about financial planning. You need to plan for it as much as you have the motivation of the new year to start afresh and all of that, and making your money, you know, work for you. How do you when you talk about the financial planning now, get me into that, Priyanka. How does that look like? How do I plan my finances?
Planning your finances starts with first of all, you need to know, we have to be very aware of where you're spending. You need to, even if you're not budgeting right now, start tracking where you're spending. Know very well how much you're spending on food, categorize it, how much you're spending on rent and utility, how much you're spending on everything. And then create a realistic budget for yourself and say, okay, this month I'm only going to spend an X amount on food, I'm only going to spend an X amount on fuel, etc. And that's the basis to your financial plan. And slowly you'll start to realize that you're not living month on month anymore. You now have extra money, you're now growing, you have stability, which is good for growth, and then freedom finally. And so it all starts with awareness, and then it starts with creating a financial plan. But also it's very important to know that your financial plan has to evolve with your life. And so let's say you've gotten another job that's paying you twice as much. That actually means your savings and investments should be twice as much, not your eating out, you know? And so it's being very aware and it's making smart decisions.
Yeah. And is there a difference between financial resolution and financial planning?
Yes. Financial resolutions is about intention. Financial planning is execution. So financial resolution would look like, I need to save more money, I need to stop overspending, I need to start investing. The awareness is there, but it's very vague. A financial plan would look like, I want to save an X amount of money by this date. And so a financial plan is very detailed and accurate, and it has figures and dates and timelines. If your plan does not have that, it's simply just a wish, right? And I'm going to just take on the example on January. They say the sentiment around January, as we said, is January is the longest month, right? And the reason is you get paid for January before the holidays start, around the 22nd of December. And now this amount of money is supposed to last you through the holidays and the whole of January. And that's where the problem comes in. You know, you start overspending, you spend emotionally, you do impulse buying. There's a lot of things around the holidays. And so a resolution following that would be, this year I need to stop overspending, I need to stop impulse buying, I need to reduce my expenses, etc. But a financial plan would say, every month I'm going to put 5,000 shillings into my Arvocap money market fund in a specific wallet called December 2026. And so by the end of the year, when you're approaching December 2026, you now have more than 60,000 shillings in that account, earmarked for that. And that's what planning is all about. So financial resolution is more in intention, but in execution is where you'll find stability, predictability, clarity, you know, and you'll be calm during that period.
All right, let's get into budgeting. If I want to budget for my money, because I feel like that's the first step for you to, financially plan for your year. You need to know how you're budgeting. So when it comes to budgeting, how do we go about that? How should I budget my money in the sense that, you know, there's money for what is needed to cover for my, you know, day-to-day, to cover for my rent, you know, food, which is the necessities, and then I also need to have money aside for my saving. I don't know, we're supposed to also have emergency funds. We also need to invest our money. Saving is not the same as investing. So how do I budget my money? My small money.
Actually, in investment, in finance and investment, we say there's no small money because everything culminates. For you to get to the gross figure that we are looking at, you need to start tracking the small amounts that probably we ignore. But I really like what Priyanka has said, because you cannot change what you are not tracking. You cannot say that, it's almost like saying someone is unwell and you're taking medicine, but you do not know for what this is. You definitely are not doing yourself any favor. So the first thing is to know, what am I budgeting for? So what are the budget items? And those budget items are guided by quite a number of things. Number one, what are my goals? What am I pursuing, for example? What is my short-term goal, long-term goal, medium-term goal? For example, my birthday is coming in the year. It's not a surprise that I was born on a certain month, and therefore it should not sound like, I was not prepared for it.
Now an emergency.
It's now
for
an
everyone
emergency.
else.
And yet it has been coming all along.
Yeah.
The same case with children going to school, insurance for your car, or whatever other thing that is recurrent in your financial life. And so you need to plan for it, as Priyanka has really done justice to that, by understanding what are my budget items, what are my goals, where am I going? And then when you understand your goals, you measure them against your income. Because you cannot have goals that are higher than your income, it definitely means that you will be living on the deficit. And what happens when you're on the deficit? You either fill it with debt. That means that every other month your budget deficit is increasing. And you become like our government, where every other month our expenses are higher than the income. And you don't want that situation, because it's not sustainable. So the first thing is to understand, what are my budget items? What is on the priority list? What needs to be covered first? And then what is my income? So that when you measure your budget items versus your income, you can tell what needs to be removed and what can be postponed. You need to understand what are your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals, because that will help you to avoid bringing a long-term goal now and therefore compromising your current financial situation. For example, maybe your finances cannot support you living in a 3-bedroom house. That could probably be a long-term goal. So what do you need to do right now so that you can create somewhere in your finances that that money can go to more important things? I like the fact that you mentioned about emergency fund. It is not about if, it's about when something can happen. A sickness, a job loss, business, things happening, delays in payments. Things happen, and they usually happen. So what is your fallback position? That also needs to be factored in your budget. So what needs to happen is list down the things that you want to do, the ones that are recurrent, the ones that are futuristic, weigh them against your income. And also remember what Priyanka said. Sometimes we may have extra income, but what is the natural tendency? If maybe I was working here at KBC and I have had a salary raise or a promotion, the first thing to tell myself is, people of my rank don't drive such a car, don't live in such an estate, don't take their children to such school, don't use certain types of phone. So you upgrade your life.
You end up adding onto your expenses.
You end up adding into expenses. So you find the more your income, the more your budget deficit. Because instead of taking that opportunity to reduce on your expenses so that you can have more disposable income, you upgraded your life, and therefore you have no room for anything that would come that is an emergency. So you need to start with budget items, weigh them against your income, and then figure out what comes as a priority. What is to be done now, what can wait.
Priyanka, one may be of the idea that, what we're talking about is for the wealthy, especially when it comes to financial planning. It's for the wealthy. So why is it as important as well for everyday earners and for someone who, makes, say, just 200 shillings at the end of the day? Why is it also important for them to be part of what we're talking about?
When your income is limited, structure becomes essential. Planning is what will help you avoid expensive mistakes or impulse buying or panic, right? High income earners can take risks. If they get into a bad investment, they still have the capital or they have the time to recover from it. If they overspend this month, they'll recover by the next month. But everyday earners don't have that buffer. And what happens is an unexpected expense this month would have a ripple effect next month and so on in months to come. And so it's very important to plan, and structure then becomes protective. It becomes a non-negotiable. What financial plans do is it gives you power over uncertainty. right? It's what helps you plan for what is unpredictable. But it looks like it's unpredictable just because you've not actually put it in your plan. For example, as John rightly said, medical costs, insurance, increments in your rent, school fees, all these look like surprises if you haven't planned for them, right? And so what planning then does, it helps you create progress. It'll create more money for you to start building on. It starts moving you away from month to month, and it starts helping you create stability, growth, and then freedom. So as John said, and as you had also said, you should always have certain buckets for different things. You should have an emergency fund, you should have a medical fund. If you have a pet, you should have a pet fund, you know, and things like that. And then what it does is it'll start creating a peace of mind, and it'll create stability. And just by you then starting to make deliberate decisions, that change is powerful itself, just by you knowing where you're spending and what you're doing. And so for everyday earners, plans are non-negotiables.
So it's for everyone.
Yes.
Basically.
Financial planning is for everyone, despite, you know, the amount that you get to make.
Absolutely. And maybe to weigh on to what Priyanka has rightly said, and I like that part of pet budget, Priyanka. Financial planning is not an exclusive for any type of people. Whether you are a low-income earner, high-income earner, whether you are employed, whether you're in business, you need to take charge of your financial future, your financial current and your financial future. Because plans, thoughts or wishes that are not planned for remain just wishful thinking. So even for person who is looking forward or saying, I'll start planning when I get to a certain level of income, you will never arrive there without a plan. Success is not accidental. Success is planned for. If you see someone succeeding in whatever plan that they have, whether financial or otherwise, it means there are plans, but there are also sacrifices. So at whatever level you are in, you are not excluded from financial planning. So don't feel like this is a reserve for a certain group of people. Planning is for anyone who is earning or who is planning to earn at whatever level.
You know, for someone who may be feeling stuck already financially, you know, even as they get into the year, they feel like they are financially stuck. Maybe what's the first practical step they should take in order to move from intention to the action that you are talking about?
I think for any challenge that you find yourself in, the first step is always diagnosis. How did I find myself here? So that you don't continue digging the hole and getting deeper to a place where you cannot come out. So the first thing is, how did I find myself here? And most often than not, you will realize it is because the outflows are bigger than inflows. You know, the expenses are higher than the income. So if you do not diagnose why you are where you are, chances are you continue doing the same things that will make you continue wading in the same waters and digging yourself into bigger and deeper holes. So the first thing is, how did I find myself here? For example, we are on, today is I think 12th.
Yeah, it's 12th.
And some of us now, we are playing cat and mouse games with our landlord. And people who we are supposed to pay. You know, I was telling a friend of mine that, you know, I'm thinking we are not you're not inviting me to slaughter a goat together, and then in January we slaughter you a padlock because you have been locked out of your house. So the first thing is to ask yourself, how did I find myself here? And the second thing is, within the situation that I am in, what can I do? For example, some of us, the best resolution we can make is probably to move out of that house that you cannot afford. You know, when you find yourself in a situation, the first thing is to confront your ego and pride and tell yourself, okay, I am already here. Do I continue digging, or do I come to the realization that this is where I am and I need to take action, and nobody is coming to save me except myself? So you tell yourself, you confront your ego, you confront your pride. You tell yourself, okay, for sure I cannot afford that place I am living. For sure I cannot afford where I'm taking my children. I cannot afford that car. So you downsize, you know, downscale. Sometimes you are in a debt situation. Go and speak to the people you owe and tell them, bro, I know I promised to pay by this time, or it's a financial institution, but here is my situation. So what can we do? So actually, when you are in a hole, that is when you need to be very real with the situation that you are in, so that you do not hide behind. Remember, some of these things, they thrive in hiddenness, when nobody knows and when you're not confronting them. So step out, confront your ego, confront your pride, decide what I cannot fit here. Some of the things that we need to do is to even leave some of the groups and associations that we are in that are compelling you to spend or do things that are way beyond your capacity. And some of those decisions have a ripple effect, because by and by you realize you have the peace of mind. You talked to your people you owe, so you don't have to hide. And now you can negotiate for a repayment plan, all those kind of things. So it has to take action, and you have to be very realistic about the steps that you're going to take in order to get yourself out of the situation.
Yeah. And I love what you said. Nobody is coming to save you.
Nobody.
And I think that should just be everyone's mantra. Like nobody is coming to save you apart from you. Then that way you don't have expectations on people. You don't feel like people owe you this and that simply because, I feel like when you approach life in that way, then it's easier for you, because now it's just me. I need to know how to go about making my decisions rather, financially and generally. So I really love that. Would you advise, or would you say it is appropriate for one to be reviewing their budgets over and over? And if yes, how often should we be reviewing our budget?
You need to, according to me, you need to review your budget every month. You need to, first of all, you need to plan for the salary you're getting. As John said, it's not a surprise. You know what you're getting. And so plan for every cent of it. And then, especially when you're starting budgeting, it's going to be it changes a lot. It changes month to month, because you're trying to find your sweet spot. Not my allocations in my budget would not be the same for John. They wouldn't work for his budget. And so it's very personal to you, and you need to make it work for you. But it's very important to keep reviewing it and keep adjusting it as you go along. Yeah, it needs to fit your life.
All right, so you need to keep looking at your budget and just reviewing it. All right. So you'll be hosting a webinar this month. It's titled "Your Money Needs a Plan, Not Resolutions." So what would you want people to get from that conversation?
Thank you. Maybe just to mention, the webinar will be on the 28th of this month of January, because we want to hold the bull by its horn before it's too late. And it is true. Your money needs a plan. It doesn't need resolution. Remember what Priyanka started by saying. Resolutions are good. Motivations are good. Desires and plans and all those things are very, very important, because they help you in tune. They something they do to your mind. They shift your focus and your mindset. But beyond there, now you need structures. I remember the other day watching on X, and people giving motivations of how they started a butchery with one feather, and people giving a lot of stories that probably may not be very concrete.
They don't seem practical.
They are not practical. So what happens is that we want to discuss, how do you put structures, how do you make your plans practical beyond the resolutions? Because look, many people know what is good to do. Planning is good, budgeting is good, saving is good, but do you do them? That is like knowing a certain medicine to a certain disease, but you're not taking it. So how do we ensure that we are curing that thing? By taking the medicine. And how do you take the medicine? That is the reason now we are meeting on 28th, so that we can discuss that now that I have a goal, now that I am in this situation, now that there is a whole year ahead of me, and many things that are coming that would require finances, what is it that I need to do within the capacity that I am in order to make those plans to be fulfilled? So I would urge us to, come and register, sign up. I think if you check our social media platforms, especially the LinkedIn, you'll see. But the whole idea is making sure that we are not repeating the same mistakes that we have been making of having plans that have no structure and therefore they don't come to plan. They don't come to pass.
Yeah. So the webinar is open to everyone who may want to come on board?
Yes. Registration is open.
Okay.
So you just need to go to our LinkedIn and our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You will be able to see the link and register. We'll be able to put you in a list where you'll get an invite. And from there, let's meet on 28th. Let's discuss how to put structures into your financial resolutions and plans. Yeah.
All right. So most times, not even most times, all of us are working towards getting to a point where we say we have attained financial freedom. That is a word that is used so many times, you know. You're asked, what are your goals? You say, I want to be financially, you know, to attain financial freedom. So when we talk about financial freedom, how does that look like? What does it mean in practical terms? Either of you can take that.
Yeah, I think both of us will.
Okay, let's start with you.
Financial freedom, it's an interesting topic. For some people, financial freedom is a number. They say, if I reach this number, I would have achieved financial freedom. And for some people, it's what it comes with. It's what financial freedom comes with.
Yeah.
Am I able to just book a flight tomorrow morning and it not affect my finances? That to some people is financial freedom. So financial freedom is very personal to everyone. It has a meaning, it has a definition for everyone that is separate. And it's very interesting because year on year your definition could change because it is evolving with you, right? When you're just starting out, as we talked about everyday earners, financial freedom for them could mean safety. It could mean that if there's an unexpected expense coming this month, I'm not going to be left in the dark the next month. But as you start building wealth, then it becomes a feeling. You want to be able to just do whatever you want financially and it not affect you. And that's what I think financial freedom actually is. It all boils down to having a plan. It's not, you can't hope for a better year. You have to design one.
So you need to have practical habits.
Yes.
You know, whereby you've put them in place.
Yes.
For you to get to that point where you attain that.
So first of all, just while speaking on that, just having your mindset correct is important. As we said, budgeting is personal. You know, what fits for me might not fit for John. And the second thing is, it takes time and practice to actually build something and see a difference. And so consistency in this case is key, right? The second thing is understand your money. Understand where you're using it right now, where you're spending it, how much are you bringing home versus how much are you taking out. Understand it without even having a plan and become very aware of it. And then the third thing is have a plan. Before your next paycheck, you should know how you're going to allocate every cent to it, to your budget. And then finally, you pay yourself first. Most people will say, okay, I'm going to spend less this month, and then at the end of the month, whatever is left, they save. Instead, you should already know how much you're going to spend, and so save first, pay yourself first. Another really important thing is sinking funds. So sinking funds is basically, it's where you set aside money regularly for a future expense that's coming up. Like John said, your birthday is not a surprise. Christmas is not a surprise. And so you should have sinking funds for specific things that would help cushion you from unexpected finances. And I think that turns out to be, it's one of the turning points in your financial journey. And then finally, as we spoke about, you have to review regularly and you have to keep adjusting your budget. You have to keep because it's very important that it evolves with your life. Yeah.
All right. John, on the same, what's your point of view?
I think, as Priyanka said, rightfully said, that financial freedom means different things to different people. So it could mean security, it could mean status, it could mean legacy, it could mean many things. But the bottom line is this: replacing your active work income with passive income. Getting to a point where work is a choice. I have reserves enough to take me through, so that if today I wake up and I feel like I want to give to charity, if I wake up and I feel like I want to go for holiday, if I wake up and I feel like I want to retire from my active job or business, then I can do that. Why? Because I have built reserves enough to sustain me in passive income. And that becomes the bottom line. The bottom line of financial freedom is that word freedom. The choice, the ability to choose when to work, who to work for, when to go to work, you know, all those things. And you cannot have choice when you have not built the reserves enough to take you through the choices that you want. And financial freedom need to be assigned a number. Look at your current month expenses and know every month I need 100,000 shillings. So if I was able to replace my active business or active employment income, and I know that there are reserves that are generating for me 150, then I can be able to choose something else that I want to do. So financial freedom starts with understanding your freedom number. What is your freedom number? What is this amount that if you are able to get on a monthly basis, you could pursue something else? Some of us are endowed with talents, but we cannot start fashioning them because as it is right now, the job requires me, I am needed there. Some of us have ambitions. Some of us want to go to pursue things that are geared towards supporting community. But as it is, even your own life needs support. Your own life support. So you cannot support other people if you're not well supported. So define your freedom number, that is number one. The amount that you need on a monthly, on a regular basis so that you can be able to take care of your things and start building those reserves. Financial freedom, as Priyanka said, is not a wishful thing. You've got to put plans to it so that you arrive into that number, and then from there now you can decide to choose what you want for your life. Yes.
All right. Does age have anything to do with what we've been talking about? Because there could be someone who's watching us, has just gotten into maybe working, probably they're 19 and they've started doing work here and there. And maybe they're watching us and feeling, I still have a long way to go when it comes to, you know, financial planning and thinking about financial freedom. I'm still allowed to make some financial mistakes because I just started earning. So does it have anything to do with age?
It depends on what the goal is. Let's say your goal is retirement. If you were to retire tomorrow, how much do you need per month to sustain yourself? And then you inflate it to when you actually want to retire, and then you work backwards and start saving month on month for that. When you actually sit down and do that math, you'll realize whatever age you are, you're late, you know, for your retirement. And in retirement, you're not working those 8 hours. You have to fill them up with something, and so you end up spending a lot more. And so whatever you think your figure is, it needs to be inflated even more. So I think it depends on what exactly your goal is, and then it depends on what, you know, on how old you are. But just one of the, as people say, wonders of the world is compounding. The earlier you start, the better it gets for you later. We are at the age where information is at our fingertips. You can go onto YouTube, search something, and get a boatload of information without having to pay for it. And so I feel like there are no excuses. You know, if you're earning, however old you are, start. It's going to, your future self will thank you.
Do you want to add on to that?
I think I just want to strengthen what has Priyanka has said. Most young people, when they are getting started, we feel we have a whole world ahead of us. And so I have time for enjoyment, which is okay. I feel like planning is for people who are almost retiring. But history offers us countless lessons of people who we probably have read about who started young. We all celebrate Warren Buffett and his investment acumen. But if, as Priyanka said, compounding works best with time. And so wherever you are, whether if you feel late, there's something that you can do. And thankfully nowadays there are so many funds, there are so many opportunities that can help catapult you if you feel late. But if you are young, please don't wash away. Please don't feel like you have a lot of time in your hands. There are many things that you can do. Start early so that you avoid the pressure. Wherever you are, please get started.
Just start.
Just start.
The best time to start is now,
Yes.
wherever it is, whichever age you're in.
Get started.
All right. So when you talk about investing, you know, when should I start thinking about investing? Because now maybe I've been saving, because we are told always save your money. You know, save your money, save for a rainy day, you know, the emergency funds and all. So when do I start now thinking about investing? And when we talk about investing, how does it differ from saving?
We have this saying that we usually say that we usually save for a rainy day and then it rains the following day. So there is always nothing to show because I saved and then it rained.
Yeah.
There are few differences between saving and investing. The first thing is in the goal. When you're saving, you're just putting aside money for a short-term goal, for something that you want to do that is not in the long term. When you're investing, the goal is usually longer. So you're putting aside money in vehicles that, you know, the goal or the aim is not in the immediate time. The second thing is access. When you're saving, you put money in places or platforms that are easily accessible. Because as we said, you are doing it for a short-term goal. So that goal could be taking your children to school, saving transport for the next month, whatever that is, or you even want to acquire an asset and you want to acquire it in the shortest time. When we are talking about investment, you are putting it in platforms and places that are not easily accessible because, of course, the whole idea is to chase returns and to look at how, you know, your money will come back bigger and better. And that takes me to the third point. The whole idea of investing is to look at, you know, what am I getting in return? Saving, you may not necessarily chase return. You could even save on your M-Pesa. There's a wallet, I think it's called, forgetting the name. But there are many accessible platforms that you can be able to save that you can actually recall your money anytime without necessarily chasing for returns. You're chasing access. You're looking at setting aside money for that. Now, you need to understand that even if you put your money aside and you do not, it doesn't grow, there is a silent enemy called inflation. Inflation is an invited guest that comes to eat your money if you do not plan on how you are going to grow it. And what happens is that inflation grows, if your money is not growing, then if you are not putting it in platforms that are growing it, then inflation is eating it away. So any time is good for investing. So it depends, first of all, what is your goal? What am I pursuing? And even if you probably have not defined your goal, make sure your money is growing faster than inflation is. Current inflation is about 4.5%. So if your money is not growing at 4.5% plus, then it's almost like a zero-sum game. Because when inflation kicks in, then the net will be zero or negative. So any time is good time for investing.
Okay, we need to finalize on the conversation. It has been such a good conversation, an informative one. So I'll give you each 30 seconds to give us your final remarks. Just 30 seconds, your final remarks.
Financial freedom isn't about how much you earn. It's about how well you plan. Motivation will start you, it'll get you moving, but structure is what will take you to the destination. And I think my parting shot, as I said before, and I would like to end with it, is don't hope for a better financial year. Design one.
Love that.
Your money needs a plan, not resolutions. So you need to make sure that you are putting those plans in place. Otherwise, we will still be back here next year, January, looking at January and figuring out how did we arrive here. Let's meet on 28th on the webinar as we discuss how to put structures into those plans.
All right, and this is where we get to put our cap to today's Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuning in. Thank you to my guests, John and Priyanka from Avocap Asset Managers. On behalf of everyone who has made the show a success, we wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Fiti, tuko fiti wananchi. Today I'm joined by Elizabeth Adiengo, and of course she was recently crowned the African champion in middleweight.
Yes.
Yes, in a championship in Africa. Tell me more about it.
It was a tough competition. Yeah, so that was the current African champion. So I was just looking towards her, and I was like, this time round, you're not going to defeat me. Yeah, so I did my all best to defeat her, and she had no choice but to accept the defeat. So I can say I'm the African champion for now. If you beat the champ, you're the champ.
So how do you celebrate?
So just pop.
Yeah! Celebrating the Kenyan champion. Yeah!
Well, it's been a long journey. I started boxing way in 2008. Yeah. So I started just as a way of fitness, and then the coach over there was like, you're getting good at this, so why not try for the tournament? I was like, really? So I trained for 3 months, and I was on my first tournament, which was held in Kibera. So I won that fight, and it felt great, and from there, henceforth, I've been stuck into boxing. So from 2008, I've been the current middleweight champion till now. Yeah. So it's all about hard work and determination, and also passion.
What actually motivated you to join boxing? Because most people you talk to, they come from harsh backgrounds. Others, something happened to them. I remember there's a time I met women in, Komarok, the Washosho, and they were trying to do, I don't know if it's boxing or whatever martial arts, because they were saying it prevents them against the people who are molesting old women. What motivated? What is your story?
My story was just to be strong, get fit, and also to be able to defend myself. Since I was coming from the hood, and it's all about crime and violence, so you just have to have a skill to defend yourself. So I was like, why not try boxing?
So saizi wakikuona nasema give way for the champion.
Yeah, you just fear. Yeah, my first Olympics was 2012. That was the first time the women were boxing in the Olympics, and I was so proud to be there. The qualifiers for that time were World Championship, which was held in China. So though I lost that bout, but due to some review, they saw that I had won the bout, and that from there I was given a wild card to represent Kenya in the 2012 London Olympics. So I can say it was a great experience for me to be in that world-class environment with different athletes from all over the world, different disciplines. It was so much fun and great. Yeah, so by that time I can say I was not that much experienced. But with time now, I've gained a lot of experience going to different competition, World Championship, Commonwealth Games. So I think I've built up enough to be able to get even a medal in the Olympics.
And Elizabeth, I remember you were so excited when you went to London 2012 as the first Kenyan lady. You have actually achieved a lot. We'll be talking about that. But then something bad happened and it set you back. That was quite nasty. Pole for that.
All right. Yeah, it was a bad accident that happened way in 2015. But now I'm fully recovered. So I can say it was a big setup because I was training for 2015 All Africa Games, which also was preparation towards Rio 2016 Olympics. So that laid me down. So I didn't participate in the African All Africa Games and Rio 2016 Olympic Games. So from there, I was just out. Nothing much to do. I gained a lot of weight. My self-esteem was down. I was like, this is not me. I have to do something and just be back. So I can say I had some friends who helped me out. I went for surgery so that I could be able to walk and train again. I'm thankful to them. And I started training back in 2017, yeah. That's when I then started training slowly. And my next match I was looking towards was 2018 Commonwealth Games. Yeah, so from there on I just trained and I just showed up in the trials for the Commonwealth Games, and people were like, Liz is back, and they were shocked. They were like, how? Oh, I was like, I'm here, I'm ready. So I was there for the trials, I won the trials, and I went for the Commonwealth Games, and from henceforward I was like, I am the best, I have to do this, I just have to push on every day.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm happy that you're able to get back because it does not just affect you physically but mentally as well. I've been there, I broke a leg, and although I'm wearing a glove, I cannot move a lot because in boxing you have to, there are stance you have to make. So I understand, but now I think you're okay, and I'm happy. I'm happy about that, and now we can take a seat and talk about you. And talking about Elizabeth, she has actually achieved many firsts for Kenyan ladies, Kenyan female. We celebrate all of them in sports. And apart from being the first Kenyan female boxer to make it to the Olympics, she's also the first Kenyan female captain. We didn't have many of them in the past. So what have you done since then?
I can say I'm proud first to be the first national team captain. As a woman, there has never been any, so I'm the first one. I'm feeling proud, I'm feeling great, and I thank the coaches and the boxers that believed in me, that I'm able to lead them to victory. So towards the last games, we've been able to qualify to get medals in the African Championship, 2022 African Championship and 2023 African Championships. Yeah, so I think with my great leadership, we're doing good.
I like that. Don't imagine that way.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I will be a boxer one day in future, in another life. So for young girls out there, this is a sport that you can use for protection and also for fitness and a lot of things, because it teaches also about discipline. It's not just going around boxing everybody you see around, ama unafanya watu wanakuogopa, sio hivyo, si ndio? So hebu waeleze.
I can say boxing is fun. It's a way of fitness. Just if you're around anywhere in Nairobi, just find a boxing gym, try it out, and completely fall in love with the sport. If you're not like boxing professionally, but just as a way of fitness, it will help you through. So I'm also a trainer. I'm a boxing coach also. I train men and women who want to lose weight and be fit through boxing. So I'm all-rounder. I say boxing is fun, so once you start it, you can't stop. I also started as a way of fitness, and till now I'm still boxing. So wherever you are, look out for a boxing gym and try it out as a way of fitness and a way of self-defense. So you will tell me it's addictive and you will enjoy. If you're trying to lose weight, it also helps a lot. It's just a full body workout. And also currently I'm training young boys and girls at Kayole Social Hall. The future champions will be coming up right from Kayole. So I'm looking towards all your support, and I think we can make great champions over there. Thank you.
Let's hope that more female boxers will follow suit, as she has set the path, and only you ndio umebaki. So let's hope that you join suit. Wacha tuoneshe some of the stunts. Leo nimekuwa kocha wake. Sasa vaa glove. Tuonyeshe basi vile ma skills kidogo kidogo tu, hili kidogo. Hata mimi najua. Kazi kwako. Mfunga vibaya. Tight. Isitoke. Bas.
Umepanga kuniangamiza kabisa. Hiyo familia unachukia ni familia yangu. Nimekuja na kakitu tusherekee.
Doc amesema ukimaliza uende usign contract yako.
Wewe. Hiyo kitu ambacho ulikuwa umechimba potoa. Usinipime wazimu wangu.
Kila kitu anatutakia kitamrudia.
Really, I have so many patience. Just go straight to the point. What did I tell you?
Sorry, Doc.
Odi.
Wewe sema kitu imekuleta hapa.
Kitu iko sawa. Karibu sana, karibu kiete kiserikali, unajua haishindwi na jambo lolote.
Mamba alionekana usiku wa kuamkia leo.
Nitagundu wakita. Guys, woo! It is our lagging day.
Naiba freeze kuna.
Yani bahati.
Bahati tena.
Mimi naingia chooni, nimalize alafu nitoke. Hapa lazima ukanje. Sitalipa. Enda.
Unaweza nisaidia at least na ka loan pass.
I don't work with loans.
Toka uende.
We don't have to do this.
Marada mkae. Mbona unalipisha na hawa ni customer wetu wamekuja pale kula na lazima waende haja?
Bishanje Ramos. Ushalipisha choo hapa kweli? Hapana.
Sasa unasikia mamoka.
Nyinyi wafanyikazi mutanitia pressure.
You think that I love him and that I would do anything to save him. However, let me make this clear. I despise the man. Who are you trying to fool, Mom? I know you're interested in him. Honey, just admit it. You are interested in him. Fine then. I'm very much interested in him.
It's that easy? The investigation's still open, so we need to be able to find you easily. That means you can't leave the city anytime soon, nor do whatever it is you want.